Hi guys and welcome to another episode of the Boxing Coalition. My name is Cam. Joining me tonight, Daniel Lim, Naota, hopefully Leon and Chu will jump on later, so hope all you guys are well. Lim, I'll start with you. Lots of boxing this past weekend, so that'll be the preferable place to start. You choose the card, New York, Madison Square Garden Theatre or New York Barclays?
Shit. Let's give Deontay his just due. Because I've been doubting Wilder for the longest time, and I still have doubts afterwards, but he showed me he has grit, toughness, heart, and the guy has one-punch knockout power that cannot be denied. So let's give Deontay his just due. I watched this fight. I was pretty fucked up, but it was still one of those fights where it really showed me that Deontay can hang with anybody at heavyweight just because of his power, which I already knew, but secondly, his toughness and his grit, like I mentioned. So it was a fantastic fight. I don't think it was as good as Klitschko versus AJ, but in terms of just that single round alone in the 7th and the 10th, those were two of the most exciting rounds I can remember for a long time, and especially at heavyweight. So I thought the fight was fantastic. I thought Ortiz looked good. I had doubts and reservations about the conditioning of Ortiz coming into this fight, but I thought he looked great. I kind of had that sense as well, just from some pictures and some videos I saw of Ortiz leading up to this fight. And even though Ortiz is 39 years old, probably a little bit shot-born, and hasn't looked that great in his previous two fights, I still thought Deontay fought a very, very high-level caliber heavyweight in that fight. So I give Deontay his complete just due, and I thought he was out in the 7th round. I think it helped him a little bit that he got those additional, 18 seconds just from that NSAC protocol or the New York protocol after the Magomed situation. Which wasn't any kind of corruption for all those dumbasses who think the judges or whatever were working for Deontay. It's just a protocol that's been established since the Magomed situation. And Deontay just showed me a lot of heart and toughness, man. And especially with two guys as flawed as Deontay and AJ, that to me just became even more of a 50-50 matchup than I can remember. And that's a fight that I want to see next.
Yeah, in that fight, I truly think it's whoever lands a big shot first, but I was really impressed the way, obviously Wilder was badly hurt in that 7th, and it took him a round to kind of get his feet back, similar to AJ against Vladimir. But yeah, he took the shots. He was wobbly, man, but at no point did it look like he was going to get dropped, man. And yeah, his chin is excellent. Naota, what did you think of the fight?
I thought it was a fantastic fight. I echo a lot of Lim's sentiments. I did think that Ortiz was actually up in the fight up until the knockout win. Close, of course, but it definitely showed some of the technical flaws that Wilder has. But I think definitely what was proven though with some of the shots that Wilder took was not even necessarily punch resistance, because he did get clipped. I wouldn't say he has a bad chin. I wouldn't say he has a great chin. I'd say he has a good chin though. You're gonna have to hit him with a follow up in order to actually put him down. But he has excellent survival instincts, just the way that he was able to kind of grab hold of Ortiz, kind of push him down, use his height, you do that kind of bully thing where you grab the guy by their neck, the back of their neck, and kind of push him down and everything. Good survival instincts from Wilder. He was on it. He looked like he was close to being stopped there in, the 7th against Ortiz. But, he managed to survive and everything. Ortiz... Ortiz, I thought proved kind of his chin as well. Considering some of the huge shots that he took from Wilder, it took Wilder a number of follow-up shots as well to get Ortiz hurt enough for them to actually get the stoppage and everything. Most of those shots I think would have put guys down, right then and there, and it would have been over. But great fight, great performance from Wilder. Great performance from Ortiz. I think this is going to be a tough kind of fight of the year contender to be able to top, actually. Just going on through it, almost somewhat reminiscent of what happened with Joshua and Klitschko. Although, technically speaking, it wasn't quite on that level. But with this fight, it was a lot more tense. There was a lot more tension with both of them kind of not wanting to make a mistake and get caught by the other one. And incidentally, I actually think that will wind up being a lot of the way that as long as Joshua gets by Parker, the way that Joshua versus Wilder would play out. I think it's going to be a very tense kind of, one shot for one shot type of fight. And even with Joshua and Wilder, that's the type of fight I think that it's not even just whoever lands the big shot first. I think it's whoever's able to follow up better and whoever is able to recover better. Because Wilder looked as gassed as Ortiz ever did in a number of spots there against Ortiz. But he was able to, kind of get his second win back as Ortiz was starting to tire out, and then he caught Ortiz in the midst of Ortiz being really, really tired. So it's just the accumulation of the power, the damage, the fatigue, and just the pace of the fight and the tension of the fight. There's a lot of psychological energy being wasted by both fighters in there. Ortiz would be right if he wanted to have a rematch with Wilder, but the way the business goes and everything, he's going to wind up having to kind of work his way back into it. And unfortunately for him, as far as he's concerned, I'd say he should go after somebody like Manuel Char, trying to make himself basically a mandatory once again for whoever happens to eventually win between Wilder, Joshua, and Parker. And get back in the mix, because I think he's live against anybody and everybody at heavyweight. Like I said, I thought he was winning the fight, and he could have been on his way to winning the stoppage. Had there been maybe Wilder that had him rocked, had Ortiz rocked as bad as Ortiz had him rocked while he was still standing, he could have potentially gotten a stoppage in there with regards to that. But it is what it is. Wilder got the W. Wilder goes on to hopefully face the winner of Parker versus Joshua, but Ortiz still looms as an extremely dangerous heavyweight, and I'm interested in whatever fight he has lined up next.
Yo, was Chu just in Fast and Furious 8? I heard a little bit of just dodging in and out from my boy.
Oh, he was going to jump on the line, but he's not home yet, so he'll jump on later. But just quickly, I know it's early in the year, and I'm sure we'll see a lot of better fights, but I can't really see, unless we see like nothing for the rest of the year, I really can't see this being fight of the year, just because they had a lot of flat spots for me, like the first 4 rounds with basically nothing.
Yeah, we're booing.
Yeah, they were booing, I think, after the third.
Yeah,
and there was the, obviously, Wilder was hurt in the 7th, which was action-packed round. 8th, obviously, he was trying to get his feet back. Ortiz was coming forward, throwing quite a bit, not landing as much. So that was okay round. 8th was kind of dead, I think. Lim, you think it was Ortiz being a bit gassed after the flurries he was throwing in the 7th that led to him maybe letting the fight slip away, or do you think he was trying to be tactical?
I think that is one of the hardest questions to answer, especially with Ortiz and Klitschko. I think from observers, just us sitting on the couch, it's really easy to say, oh, he should have jumped on the gas, so to speak. But I think that's such a hard question for me to answer. I really don't know how to answer that question. I think he tried pretty damn hard to get the stoppage, but I mean, you always have to be wary of that kind of situation of shooting your load, especially at that age, especially with Klitschko and Ortiz being 39 and 40 respectively. You have to think in the back of your head, if I go for broke right now, I essentially might have nothing left. So I actually think Ortiz did a pretty good job on jumping on the gas pedal, but you just have to give Wilder credit, man. The guy has a fucking chin and he's tough.
Yeah. If Wilder Joshua doesn't happen next, do you think there'll be outcry? I know like no one listens to us boxing fans anyway, but it just seems the most legitimate fight to happen.
You know what? You know what's funny, man? I know I'm gonna sound like the business guy here for a second. I know nobody likes that, but think about Canelo versus Triple G. I think the marination of that fight actually helped a lot in terms of that fight being as big as it is. And I think for the first time, I experienced my casual friends really get an appreciation and even an understanding of who Wilder is. Like I saw a bunch of tweets from different sports commentators here in the U.S. who rarely ever commentate about boxing, and they were just completely shocked and in awe of Wilder's performance. And I think it's kind of makes sense for this fight to marinate a little bit. So if you get, let's say, I don't know, Joshua versus Miller, and then Wilder versus some other kind of BC level heavyweight, in June or in July, and have that fight be the first fight of 2019, I think that would make sense, because I don't think this fight is going to be taking place sometime in September of this year or for this calendar year. I think it's going to happen early next year.
Stop being a negative Nelly, bro.
I mean, when in the history of this sport, when have we ever gotten the fight that we want to see take place right when we wanted it to happen. And it's kind of an interesting conversation because I follow both boxing and in the UFC. I think what's plagued the UFC a lot recently has been fights just kind of happening sometimes a little bit too early in the careers of fighters. And I feel like, especially with Deontay and Joshua being in such a top heavy division in heavyweight, I mean, if they fight next, I mean, these guys might not have viable opponents to fight afterwards. So I just think it's going to take place early next year.
Nikki, what do you think?
I'm actually kind of inclined to agree with Lim. I don't even think he's being negative. I think he's being realistic. Especially with the talk of already, if Joshua beats Parker, he's going to fight Big Baby Miller in New York, as his next fight and things like that. And just the fact that I'd imagine that this fight is going to wind up taking place in the UK. And if it does take place over there, that's a stadium fight, man. And so it's not going to be taking place in the middle of fucking winter at the beginning of 2019. They're going to wait until, spring season and the sun is definitely out for that, to actually have that happen. So, I think Lim's being realistic about it. But I mean, regardless, the great performance and a great fight. Hopefully the Joshua Parker one is half as good as some of the action that we saw, and let's just see what happens.
My biggest issue is, sorry, go on.
No, please go ahead, Cam.
My biggest issue with letting it marinate is something can always happen in the interim fights where it either takes something away from the fight we want, or it delays it through injuries or some other shit that can happen. So I think I'm not being realistic, but I would like to see it later this year towards Christmas, because if the fight in Wales, it's not really an issue because the stadium does have a roof, so they can close it. So and a lot of seats will get sold. They'll still make the money they want. So yeah, we'll see.
Sure. It's a great fight. I really think it has a chance to be just as big as Triple G versus Canelo, if not bigger, just because of the fact that they're heavyweights. And this is the first time that Wilder has convinced me that he can become a star. I've never seen the Brooklyn that hyped and that packed for a fight. I don't know if it did over 14 or 15,000 like I think Danny versus Thurman did, but just the videos that I saw of the crowd in that 10th round was pretty amazing, and it gave me chills.
Big boxing coming back to New York for a change.
Yep.
All right, you guys got anything else regarding this fight?
No, man. I just think it's a fight that we need. It'll be our Triple G versus Canelo of this year, and then I think possibly and probably a better fight too, just because, like I mentioned, they're both such flawed fighters. I was rewatching a lot of AJ's fights and some of Deontay's previous fights as well, and they have such discernible flaws that they can take advantage of one another. And it's one of those fights where Deontay could knock out AJ in 2 rounds. AJ can knock out Deontay in 2 rounds. The fight can go 12 rounds. They got more power
than chin.
It's exactly. And that's why the discussion of who has a better chin, to me, is kind of a futile discussion, because they both have such big power that it doesn't really matter what kind of chin you have against either of these guys.
Yeah. To your point, it's crazy how, if you look throughout the golden era of heavyweight boxing, all the different decades, is that currently we're probably at the least amount of skill and technique, but it's so big because people just love heavyweight boxing. But I agree, like both guys technically, AJ after 3 rounds, 4 rounds, and if he's been hit, his technique goes out the window. It's terrible. And Wilder's hooking
even when
technique.
What you have though?
He's so there to get hit.
What you have though right now is not necessarily a high degree of technical ability, but a hugely high degree of physical ability. A lot of power, a lot of explosiveness from most of the top heavies, and I mean, it's undeniable. It's like even for the lack of maybe technique that some of these guys have, and or maybe some of the lack of stamina that some of these guys have. I would favor them in some of these, all-time matchups in certain aspects, simply because of the physical nature of things. I mean, all you got to do is look at, we'll get to it, but you look at like somebody like a Srisaket Rungvisai that proves that sometimes physicality can overwhelm skill set and technique.
Yeah, I just think, to the casual fan, they probably won't care, but I find it kind of embarrassing that my
That
favorite
too.
sport, that my favorite sport looks so crude in its, kind of most watched fights. Like, look how many people watch Wilder. It's the numbers are getting up there. Looking at how many people watch Joshua, and they're not really watching like the sweet science. They're just watching two big dudes with ridiculous power.
Yeah, but I mean, sometimes that's fun. Sometimes it's fun to watch. I mean, Lennox Lewis versus Michael Grant wasn't exactly an amazing skill display. It was just an explosive, very quick ending of Michael Grant.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I don't think it really matters, Cam. I think you're just being a nerd.
I think I am. I think you're right. But obviously, Leon and Chu are not on yet, so should we quickly...
Hey!
He's there with terrible sound. What's happening, Chu?
Speak it, believe it, and you shall receive it.
Like some Conor McGregor law of
Conor.
attraction.
I'm going to be back in an hour. I'll see you.
Yeah, your line's terrible, Chu. I'll wait until you get home, yeah?
Yep. All right.
Lim, Neota, should we just quickly talk a bit about Andre Durrell and Jose Uzcategui?
Uzcategui, yeah. Good fight. Uzcategui, I like Uzcategui. I think he's very skilled. He has a beautiful straight right hand, and I think Durrell is he's very shot-born, and it might be time for him to consider just kind of moving on with his career, just because he didn't look very good, to say the least.
Yeah, I think we saw the last semblances of what Andre Durrell was in that first fight against Uzcategui, and then when he got knocked out, regardless of whatever controversy there was about the knockout, I think that knocked the rest of whatever was good about Durrell out of him. Because here against Uzcategui, like pretty much after the first round, he wasn't throwing punches really to win a fight. He wasn't throwing punches to hurt somebody. He was throwing punches as in to say, please don't hurt me. And Uzcategui was pretty much just walking him down, utilizing really good head movement and defensive maneuvers as he was walking him down, and pretty much just beating Durrell up. And I mean, Uzcategui, I think, looms as, a really dangerous fighter at super middleweight. I think, he's a mandatory for Caleb Truax. I think he beats Truax, possibly by knockout. I think he'd be very live against both Benavidez and Ramirez. I mean, who knows if he'll get a fight with Ramirez, considering, how Top Rank is very reluctant sometimes to throw the guys in tough. And then, but Benavidez, that's for him to be calling him out. It shows some guts. It shows some grit about him. They've sparred in the past. They know each other and everything. His body work, I think, could be a pretty big problem for Benavidez, because Benavidez has shown himself to be vulnerable there. But being in the pocket against him, we'll really see where those defensive skills lie, because Benavidez's kind of lightning combinations and huge power on the inside makes him an extremely dangerous fighter to be fighting in that fashion. But Uzcategui did a fantastic job. I mean, pretty much signaled the end of Durrell in terms of being a marquee fighter. And he's one of those guys. He's at the top of the super middleweight division, along with the aforementioned, as well as George Groves, who I think should be able to handily defeat Callum Smith. We'll get to Smith shortly, I'm sure, as well. But there it is.
That's if his shoulder holds up. Instantly from the start of the fight, you could just tell that Uzcategui just looked so comfortable. Like after the first fight, I think he knew eventually he'd get to Durrell, and that long right hand lead was working so well for him. I thought, just from so far out, it looked like Durrell was out of range and he would just get popped with the right hand. But he's got a really weird stance. He kind of hunches down and the shoulder muscles are kind of high and that, but it looks weird, but it's effective for him and it works for him. So, and yeah, there's definitely some good fights from him out there. But that's all I really got to say, unless you guys want to add anything else. All right, obviously Leon's not made it on yet, so we'll have to come back to this card. Shall we move over to the Kovalev card?
Yeah, fuck Kovalev. Let's talk about Bivol, my boy.
Bivol.
Fuck Kovalev. Fuck that shit.
I don't know if he's your boy, man. It seems like Cam and Leon are taking over that train.
No, we started it, to be fair. Like, if you go back to his show before
nobody
that,
fucking
like,
remembers. Nobody fucking remembers you and Leon talking about my boy Bivol.
you know I'm gonna dig that show out and play it at the start of the next show now, just because you said that.
Fuck. I don't give a fuck, you nerd.
I'm
the one who saw the motherfucker in person.
Because you've seen him in person, so then you have more purchase over him. Is that how it is?
Dude, man. He's half Korean. I spoke with his pops, Mr. Miyagi. We're 100. You feel me? I swear to God, I invited him over to my Thanksgiving, the new lunar calendar year celebration. He said, "Of course I'll come, Daniel-san. I love you. I love you too."
So you try and steal Bivol away from me. You try and steal my Mr. Miyagi jokes away, bro. Man. Come on now. This is not correct.
You can be the first person to talk about him per se, but that doesn't mean that he actually shares the same sentiments. Like, when me and Bivol locked eyes, like, we just shared an instant connection. You know, you can talk about him as much as you want, but we're the ones who are fucking brothers, man.
All right, all jokes aside, what do you think of his performance against Sullivan Barrera?
What do you mean, all jokes aside, man? That's my boy. He always will be. So never mind. But Bivol is, he's good. I didn't think Bivol was gonna be that impressive either. I mean, it was his 13th fight, his 12th or 13th fight, and for him to be that good and that polished and be able to carry up that power in the 12th round, that's fucking impressive. I mean, he is a bit undersized, and that's the only thing that troubles me a bit, but he's so skilled at that weight division, and I love his balance and his footwork. And people I know were, I think, criticizing him in the build-up to his fight just based on the way he hit the heavy bag or the mitts. But I always tell people, it doesn't fucking matter how you hit the heavy bag or how you hit the mitts. You can tell that what Bivol's working on is distance and judging range, and he does that fucking beautifully. So, and the guy just has thudding power. Like, you hear his shots, like you can fucking hear them just dig into, Sullivan's skull or his body. Like, his punches have certain oomph to it that reminds me of Golovkin. And credit to Barrera too, man. Barrera was fucking game. I didn't think he was going to be that game. And I was impressed by Barrera as well. And poor Barrera, I think he took this fight with Bivol in hopes of unifying against Sergey to make more money afterwards, when he could have fought Sergey this fight and made more money. That's a risk that he was willing to take. But at the same time, I think it also showed just what kind of, metal Bivol is made of.
Lim, did you watch the post-fight with Max?
No, I didn't. What did he say?
I don't know. Maybe Naota might agree with me, but I just felt that his questionings were very directed at him, trying to get him to call out Kovalev or say he wants Kovalev now. And like, as much as I like Bivol, like, he's only had 13 fights. I think that personally, that Kovalev fight can wait. I know I just said that, contradicting myself and saying. But this is a kind of different situation, and Bivol's still pretty young. He's still pretty green when it comes to professional boxing, and I think that fight can. Kovalev's been in professional for so long. He's had a lot of high caliber opponents, so yeah, that can wait. I think. Like, Max was a bit of a bitch, I thought.
I don't think so, because I think Kovalev is getting up there in age as well. How long do you want to wait on Kovalev? Yeah, and if you let Kovalev wait and have him fight the winner of Stevenson versus Badu, which I understand politically probably isn't going to happen, but let's say somehow it does happen, and what if Kovalev just decides to retire after that fight, which I can envision. So I want to see the fight next.
All right, that's fair.
Well, and honestly, I think he was just working as like a mouthpiece for HBO as a network, basically saying, like, this is the obvious build up to that fight. That's the fight we want next. As a network, we want to put on these shows where we're fighting, where we're seeing evenly matched caliber opponents of a given weight class, top fighters of a given weight class against each other, not unlike what they did with Superfly. It's almost like they'd ideally like to do that in whatever division they happen to be showcasing. So ultimately, that's really the fight that they want. That's the fight that's really going to get them the views that they're looking for. But Bivol did a fantastic job against Barrera. I was always trying to be the most, I guess, realistic and thusly the most, I guess, skeptical and critical of him on this panel and everything on here. But he did a fucking fantastic job, man. He outboxed Barrera. He out punched him. He outworked him. He outfought him. He didn't even let the cut from the head clash bother him. And he pretty much systematically took him apart on his way to stopping him. He didn't rush the stoppage. He didn't, get ahead of himself and trying to knock Barrera out. He stayed on balance pretty much the entire time. The one really critical thing that you could say about Bivol is he doesn't have a terribly high amount of head movement, but that high guard of his tends to kind of negate whatever critique you could give for him for that. But that might also bite him in the ass against a higher level of opponent, that true elite level of your Kovalevs, your Berbievs, your Stevensons, etc. But I mean, he did a really good job, man. He's a guy that has more of that kind of a fencing style. Where it's like he'll land one shot or 1-2 shots and boom, he'll get out. It's like he has that good kind of in and out movement and everything. And I actually think that he's a really tough opponent for Kovalev. We'll get to it in just a second, but I didn't think Kovalev looked all that great against Mikhalkin. Against a guy that really isn't a very big puncher. I think he was having some issues with him, and honestly, I think he'll have more than a few issues with Bivol and with some of the other guys that he might be fighting. I think some of Kovalev's own self confidence is a little bit shaky, in the aftermath of the word fight.
Yeah, definitely. I think most of these top heavy guys at light heavyweight I would classify as mostly 50-50 fights. I would slightly still favor Kovalev over Bivol, but I can totally see Bivol stopping Kovalev as well. Because the thing about Bivol that I don't really know yet is his level of chin. I mean, he did take some good shots against Barrera, and he's very stoic in his demeanor, so you can't really tell whether a certain punch affected him or not. But that's one thing that I am curious to see, and I just think this fight, to me, showed just how good Ward is as well. So I know nobody wants to hear that, but I'm always kind of amazed at Ward's skill set, even though that's a very unpopular opinion around here.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
Ward's damn good, man. Just his ability to fight.
He's retired though,
ranges.
so we can't talk about him. He's retired.
I know. He made the weight class a lot better. Kind of like when Vlad was stopped by Fury, the heavyweight division was a lot more fun. I feel the same exact way about the light heavyweight division now.
Quickly, it's my thoughts. I thought it was a really good performance. He had to suffer a cut. He had to suffer a bad hematoma, and he got on with it. A lot of guys kind of fall apart when they get injuries, but just the bounce and the step is excellent. The only thing I don't really like is he goes back in straight lines, and especially for the matchup against Kovalev. Kovalev does throw that kind of 1-2-1 punch, those long punches he's got. That might be an issue for Bivol. You said to me during the fight was happening, Lim, you messaged me and you're saying that you'd just like to see Bivol, step off to his left a bit more, rotate clockwise, and it's true, kind of he does stand a bit in front sometimes, and you can just make room for the right hand. But another critique I had a couple of fights ago was that when he had a guy hurt, he'll kind of throw loads of punches just at the guard, and he wouldn't step aside. But we don't really see that in this fight because he never really let his hands go like that. But I do hope that's something he's working on. But Leon, are you there?
Yeah, I am.
Just before you came on, Lim was singing away that he discovered Bivol and he's met him, so that's
but he's he doesn't know what it's just a lie. It's a blatant lie.
I know. I said to him, I'm going to dig up that,
Look,
that
being
review.
A creepy stalker on Instagram doesn't make you, he didn't see the fight, did he? He just liked watching him work in the gym. He's a fucking horrible pervert. Hi, Lim.
Dan, Leon, we'll finish this card and we can go back and you can give your view on the Barclays card. So, Bivol's performance?
Yeah, very, very good. I thought he kind of, he does go back in straight lines, but he doesn't move in the same direction all the time. He'll move both ways, if you know what I mean. He won't just always circle off to the left, and he'll circle off both ways. He's obviously a bit more of a puncher than I thought he was, because Barrera was shaking his head off at the end of round one, wasn't he? When he walked back to the corner, he was shaking his head. He felt something there.
There's definitely a thudding to his punches.
Yeah, they're definitely thudding. The other thing that I heard people saying, because I didn't watch it live, was that he didn't go to the body much, right? Did you notice that?
I don't say he went to it much, but I don't think he neglected it either. I think it was kind of in between.
No, yeah, exactly what I was saying. He did go to the body. I made notes of it. He landed body shots 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10, and 12. Like good body shots, hard body shots.
Have you got stats?
I think people were just.
Did you count them? Have you got stats?
Well, obviously there's a minimum of one around, but it was like 2 or 3 around, like in each of those rounds.
Yeah.
Like I just kind of went about like having a look at it, and he was doing it. So I think people were getting a bit. I think one person might have said it, and it spread like wildfire, if you know what I mean. But he was definitely doing some work to the body. He's very good. The other thing I like about him, he's very methodical on the outside, but if he gets like drawn inside, he'll just let his hands go. Like he won't just hang around in there getting tied up. He'll just fight fire as soon as he's pulled in. So there's a couple of times where they got close and he just punched his way out. Yeah, he's very good.
Leon, what do you think's next for him?
Well, I don't know about that Kovalev thing, like I don't know what Kovalev's got left. I didn't see this fight, the Kovalev fight, because I'm not watching that. Like some old sparring partner, I don't like. It seemed like a terrible fight on paper, so I just like I'm not wasting my time with that shit anymore, Cam. Like outmatched guys, like fucking pointless. I guess they're trying to build him back up, aren't they? Because he's got his soul snatched. So
yeah,
that's the truth. However much I dislike Andre Ward, he's got his soul in a jar. I mean, that's the truth of the matter, isn't it?
So do you think Bivol will go after him next?
If I was him, I would. I don't see the danger in, like it's going to be a tough fight. It's always going to be a tough fight with Kovalev because he's got power and he can hurt people. But like, what's he hanging around for? Like Bivol, he might as well just crack on because he's looking really good. Because that's the one thing I'd say, Cam. Like from that moment we saw him in that fight, and lots of people saw him in that fight. Like he's just got consistently better, but hasn't changed his game. It's very methodical, isn't it? It hasn't you haven't seen anything particularly new. It's just like it's like rinse and repeat. Yeah, exactly. And that kind of like left hook off the jab is fantastic. Like he's a really good fighter, and he doesn't look like he cares about what's happening. Like now I said, like that cut wasn't an issue to him. Like it didn't. I think I saw him dab his face coming out in the 7th, but he dabbed both sides. But he had that massive welt on his head, so like he doesn't seem bothered by much. Like I wouldn't say he's a killer. He's like an assassin, like he's just really calm about it.
Yeah.
I love Bivol's balance too. His I don't know if it's footwork per se, but like even if you watch him hit the mitts, he's that bouncy technique that he has. There's a reasoning behind it. He's always on balance and he's always in a position to throw a power shot because he's just fully like his energy and his weight is just fully on his toes to always throw a big heavy punch.
Yeah.
In any situation.
I thought his movement if I was going to say anything that it seemed to have improved was his movement in this fight, but maybe that's because he was fighting a better guy, right? So he was just a bit more on his toes and moving a bit better, but he seemed to be able to avoid what Barrera had to offer because that guy's a good guy. Like he beat him better than Ward beat that guy. But I guess Ward doesn't beat people well, does he? He just beats them. So I guess that's the difference.
I've never seen Sullivan Barrera handle like that before. Like I don't think he gave him around.
He was battering him. He beat him up in everything. Like he was just manhandling him by the end.
Yeah. Bivol's fucking good, man. He's really fucking good. And
this will probably all crash and burn, and he'll get iced in like the next 3 fights. But fuck it. I mean,
nah.
I think we can.
At that point, I'll just.
Well, I mean, that's entirely.
I'll just jump off the hype train, and I'll just skip the show.
That's entirely possible, though. We're considering. I think HBO is looking to just almost like set up, like I was alluding to before, like a Superfly for light heavies. You know what I mean? Like they just have all the best light heavies fight each other that aren't named Stevenson.
But that's the next. That's going to be the next. Supposedly, the rumors are that's the next Super Series.
Yeah,
that'd be a fucking amazing, man.
That's Callis saying it. Like
the other
that's
So
quality on quality.
Yeah,
no fucking Callum Smith versus Nicky Holson. None of that bullshit.
The good thing about that
outta
one is,
here.
I think what was neglected
Timo's
from
boy.
what was
Fuck.
what was neglected from this current boxing super series is the fact that both the cruiserweights and the super middleweights were kind of sparse in the States, where if you look at light heavy, even though, you know, the nationalities are not American, like a lot of them are well known in America, they fight in America, so I think we'll get a lot more cards over there, where it seemed like when they did put cards on for the World Boxing Series in the States, it was more in cities where there was a high population of that person's
They were chancing their arm a bit there, Cam.
yeah.
You know, just dipping their toe in to see what would happen.
Yeah, but I think this one, if they did light heavy, it'd be so popular, man, and it'd get a lot more coverage, I think.
Well, and I'd be willing to bet that was partially like Richard Schaefer basically, you know, saying like, hey, you know, we're gonna do some more of these, you know, in the future. We'd like to have you guys as the venues for some of these fights that we do in the future, you know, with more American known commodities and such. So.
And it's not even popularity for me. Like that to me isn't even a concern. It's just that these guys are just better. They're just fucking really good.
All right.
I'm just thinking about all the talent at that weight class, especially like the top 6. Like those are all 50-50 matchups.
I was actually a bit off topic, but quickly, let's just go through what 8 we would choose then, yeah? So obviously Kovalev, champion. Beterbiev, champion. Bivol, champion.
Beterbiev is a champion?
Yeah, IBF, he fought for the vacant a couple of months ago.
Wow.
There
you got Beterbiev, you got Badu, Stevenson.
But obviously they're going to fight, so do we still put them in there?
Yeah,
Stevenson won't do it, so let's just forget him.
All right, just put...
Sure, that's a fair point.
Let's just put...
Badu
would, yeah, I think he would.
Yeah, Badu.
Yeah.
All right, so that's 4. I'd put
Badu
Gvozdyk in, that's 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a couple of other
Alvarez?
75 like.
Elida?
Yeah, Alvarez.
Exactly. Alvarez is fun. Yep. That's 6 and 2 more.
Marcus
Joe
Brown,
Smith?
possibly. Marcus
Okay.
Brown.
Toss him in there.
Yeah, Marcus Brown. I wouldn't mind seeing
Marcus
Marcus Brown.
Yeah, Marcus
Stylistic,
Brown.
it'd be interesting as hell.
And then
And plus,
if
you need a black guy in there as well. So.
and if Frank Warren wanted to destroy his income for the next couple of years, Leon, throw Anthony Yard in there.
That chin ain't made for that shit.
Anthony Yard.
Or maybe, maybe Bramer will come back because.
Nah, bro, come on. We don't want him to come back, man. Forget that. Let him go.
How about Tony Bellew?
He can't make light heavy, man.
He can't cut 15 pounds nice and easy.
How about Canelo with all that
more than
Clembuterol?
15 now.
Canelo can make 175.
Well,
Canelo's moving up, baby.
Pednello isn't allowed to fight for another 2 years, surely.
Clenello.
Clenello.
We'll get to this.
We'll get to this. Man, some tainted steak and.
We'll get to this.
So we need one more, right?
Shut up a second. We will get to Canelo. It's fucking disgusting. He's a fucking multi-millionaire and he can't sort his shit out. He should be fucking banned and then taken out the back and fucking shot in the fucking head.
Right.
Oscar De La Hoya is just gonna say that he accidentally ate Luis Neri's, carne asada taco.
How is this now allowed? Is that just a thing now? They're just allowed to get away with it?
All right, we're going off topic.
The bad meat.
We're going off topic, man. We'll come to that.
Sorry.
But,
yeah.
You're the one who said we'll get to it, and you just go on a fucking rant on that shit.
Oh no, sorry.
Typical Leon.
I don't know. An 8th guy, I don't know.
It's all right. We can.
Yards.
Yeah, we'll just put Yard in there. Get a
Or
bit.
Frank Bugloni.
Throw him under the bus.
All
right.
Yeah, like I'm saying, you could toss Smith, you could toss Bramer. There's a few different guys.
Yeah, Smith would be good.
Yeah, he would. Fonfara's still about, even though he's a bit short. All right, let's move on.
Smith is at least fun,
Yeah. Leon, you said you haven't seen the Kovalev, so Lim, did you manage to catch that, or you bothered to even catch it?
No, I watched it. Like now to say, there were a couple of rounds where Kovalev just didn't give a fuck, man. This is a guy that he sparred. He had a good understanding. I mean, they were teammates, I think, at one point. So he obviously has an understanding of what his opponent brought to the table in that fight, and it was a tune-up. I mean, it wasn't even a tune-up. It was against a guy that he sparred with, countless of rounds. So it's just a fight that you put no stock in, but you still saw Kovalev's skill. Like Nauta said, Kovalev, when he's at his perfect range, that guy is fucking scary, man. It's kind of like Deontay when Deontay clipped Ortiz, I think in one of those rounds with a straight right hand right on his forehead, on his temple. Like that's the kind of shit that Kovalev does really fucking well. And against a guy who like Bivol, who might be a little bit too green for him right now, I mean Kovalev is just a scary dude.
Neilton, you got any thoughts on that fight?
I'm like I said before, I do think that Kovalev's confidence is a bit shook. I mean, for all intents and purposes, McElkin shouldn't have given him any trouble whatsoever at all. I thought he did a little bit here in spots. I thought it was enough, like angle-wise, that gives credence to the fact that I always felt like Stevenson would beat Kovalev. But Kovalev did the job. He knocked his man out. I think him versus Bivol, which I think is very likely to happen next. I think it's a good fight. I think it's a tough fight for both of them. For Bivol, obviously, because he lacks the experience of Kovalev, but also for Kovalev because this will be the first big step back up towards the level of a truly top tier opponent. On the level of or even approaching the level of an Andre Ward in Bivol. And Bivol looms as a very hard puncher, a very skilled fighter, and it's a good fight. So that's pretty much all there is to it.
Every so often I watch a fight from beginning to end, and if you ask me what anything that interesting happened in it, there was like basically nothing. The only time I remember is when Mikhailakin got a really bad cut and then shown the I think he's the doctor and they called it off, and it just seemed like he was going through the motions, which is understandable when it's not like a high value fight and it's a guy that you're not really going to show out. So it was a kind of a waste of a fight for me. I think the only good thing about it is that we got to see Barrera versus Bivol on undercard, and most people only cared about that fight anyway. No one was really giving a shit about the Kovalev fight. So yeah, okay, Leon, the floor is yours to talk about Ortiz, Wilder, and Darrell Udkatazgi.
I don't give a fuck about heavyweight boxing, but let's get to this shit. The myth is finally, that's the final nail in the coffin. We're done with this clown, aren't we? That is over. It is over. But he's skilled, though. I'm sick of hearing that. I've heard that for years. He's skilled. He's so skilled.
But
he's so athletic.
Matrix, though.
Let me tell you, Cam. This is what this is what I see, Cam. You know those football freestylers who can do a million kick-ups and like do all those tricks and sit down on the floor and but keep the ball going. I imagine imagine in basketball, there's probably someone who can come on at halftime and do all these crazy tricks with a basketball, right?
Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah, you just do like things like make it go along their back and then they flip it up and it goes in the hoop.
But they can't play for shit.
And then you put them in a real game and they're fucking useless. Yeah. That's what Darrell is. That's what analogy. Darrell's skills are. I'm sick of hearing it. I heard it for so long. He snatched fucking like defeat from victory against Froch. I don't care what anyone says. Yeah, I probably scored it to him, but he did such a good impression of someone losing a fight that he didn't deserve to win that. DQs, 2 DQs are his 2 best. Who has he beaten? Who has he beaten for me to be told for years and years that he's an elite level fighter? But
he got robbed against Froch. He
did an impression of a loser. But he was not willing to commit to that fight.
Abraham hit him after the bell, though.
There's your DQ win. That's a great win. But
Uncle though, good job, Unc.
Look, it's just a fucking myth. It's a joke. But I tell you one thing though, that other cat, he's good. Really, really, really good, I thought. Like Darrell couldn't get away from him all night. Like that control of distance, Darrell could never get away from him the whole fight. I thought he was really good. His upper body movement, his head movement was fantastic. Like he's a problem for lots of people in that division. Like who would you like? He'd give anyone a good fight, don't you think?
Yeah. The only guy I'd really favor comfortably, or not even comfortably over him, but favor over him is
Caleb Plant. Yeah, Caleb Plant. I agree with you, Nota.
I think he gives everyone a problem, but like that Darrell thing has just been the biggest myth. I've never seen a fighter get so much credit for so fucking little in this sport. I think it's the worst out of every fighter I've come across in all the time I've been watching boxing is him. It's unbelievable the excuses and the fanboyism of that man's skill set. It was hilarious. Oh, it was the fucking chaos in the corner. There's another one whose myths got fucking burst in that fight. Is that, what's his name?
Virgil.
The one who calls Dre everyone. He's fucking shit. I don't care what anyone says.
Virgil.
Without Ward, yeah, he is rubbish. He's rubbish. The people, who has he trained? Without Ward,
he trained Andre Berto, Andre Ward, Andre Durrell, Andre Angulo, Andre Khan.
All your Dre's.
Andre Iguodala.
Look, the reason Ward is who he is because he's Andre Ward, and he's a horrible fucking bastard who'll do anything to win, which you've got to respect in this sport. But what was he doing in that corner? What did he offer him in that corner, or offer any other fighter, excluding Ward, in his career? What has he done for anyone to be held up as this tactician?
He snatched their souls in training camp.
Honestly, so 2 myths burst in one fight. Like I said on Twitter, Uzakati, he can marry my sister. That guy, I'm fully on board with that guy. Like, he's done a fantastic job for boxing this week. Fantastic job for boxing, because that just needed to be put to bed finally.
Leon, just quickly, this was for some interim IBF belt. Say the Gale Truex rematch goes ahead, would you favour Uzcategui against either guy?
Oh, he would, yeah, 100%. The way that De Gale likes to go and chill on the ropes.
He'd murk him.
He'd make mincemeat of him. And look, Caleb Truex, everyone likes him because he's a fucking trier, isn't he? And he went and put it on him. But the guy's a middleweight. I don't see him doing anything. Yeah, although Uzcategui was a middleweight. Got
sparked and won by Jacobs.
Yeah, and he has Caleb plant problems.
But look, I feel sorry for Uzcategui because that Team Durrell quit yet again. He didn't get the opportunity to knock him out. That's why I felt bad for.
He did it the first fight at least, so I guess you could just kind of mash up together the second fight beat down with the first fight knockout. So.
But do you see? Reel. I know I'm ranting on a bit, but this has been building up for multiple years. But I'm right, aren't I, about Durrell? Like, this myth around him has been ridiculous. The leeway he's been given by people.
Somewhat, yeah. I mean, there are a lot of people that are saying like, "Oh, like just give him another shot, just give him another shot." He had a shot after shot after shot, and he's just the guy that never was able to catch the mouse.
Do you think?
But sometimes, people like go on about skills and fundamental. Boxing is much, much more than that. Like, it takes a certain kind of person, a certain kind of fighter.
I agree with you 100% there, because I remember when Durrell was first coming up, you just see his skill, like especially his jab. His jab was fucking amazing when he first came up, but he doesn't have the heart, he doesn't have the toughness or the grit.
I don't want to defend him, but do you think, when you go through a brain injury, do you think it changes you? Do you think,
don't make me.
How are we supposed to know?
People are trying to make me out the bad guy all day about this shit. I don't know anything about it. I'm not.
But he had a brain injury though.
Then what's he doing coming back?
That's my thing. Like, I can't defend him for that because, well, if you've got a brain injury, you need to go find a different
had a
job.
Brain injury, and he was still able to beat Caleb Truax. So.
No,
and who knows? Like, there could be countless of other fighters.
Had brain injuries before he fought Pacquiao and Morales those last couple of times. So.
But yeah,
I don't think he ever had it from the beginning, Cam. That's the thing. I don't like people go back to the skills again. The skills.
Yeah. I mean, if you can't use them, brain injury half his career.
But if you can't use those skills at the moment it matters, then what use are they?
No, I agree. If he's not got the heart and he is worried about himself, he shouldn't be boxing. Pressure.
But those skills, if they evaporate in the moment that you come under pressure or the moment it matters, those skills are worthless.
Yeah. No, I agree. But I think we're going a bit over time. So, Leon.
Sorry. I've been waiting for this to happen for a long, long while, just to see it finally fall apart. It was enjoyable for me.
And what do you think about Ortiz Wilder?
Ortiz is 108. It's an easy... No. nothing happened for 4 or 5 rounds, did it? Like, really, very little happened. And I know Ortiz supposedly won those rounds, but he won them without having to do very much. And then he pulled a Klitschko, and he had his man there. I mean, he was that. So he beat him up in the 7th, which, like, I would have scored that an 8-10 round. Like, even I know he didn't knock him down, but he was banjoing him all over the place.
I actually think all 3 judges did score it at 10-8.
Good. Well, that was a 10-8. That's what I would.
And he was
class
still
as a
down
10-8.
around. And the fucker was still down around.
Ortiz,
Yeah.
You believe that shit?
No, but the thing is,
I mean, I could believe it when you consider A-side politics in boxing. You know?
but
Well,
I
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I think those first 4, like, I didn't want to give it. I wanted to give them a 9-9 to both of them. You know, I didn't want not a 10-10. Like, I don't think anyone really deserved much out of those early rounds. You know, there wasn't a lot going on. The crowd were booing, right?
Yeah.
But even then, like, I'd say that Ortiz was really the one controlling the pace. He's like, that's the type of fight he really wanted. He wanted to make a slow, kind of one punch at a time fight and be able to pick Wilder off.
Yes, yeah, you're right. You're right. He should have been up on the cards. So he was probably going to get robbed. But the problem was in that 8th round, after he'd done all that damage in 7, he was done. He had nothing left, did he? Like, he seemed to collapse a bit. I thought he was gassing after 4 or 5 rounds. He looked tired after 4 or 5 rounds going back to that corner.
Yeah, to be fair, Wilder looked pretty tired himself in a couple of those rounds also. But
yeah.
But it was just a matter of, I think it kind of all came at the right time for Wilder, where it's like Wilder was getting his second win just as Ortiz was gassing out. And, it's just like he caught him at the exact right time.
It's just like what happened with Klitschko and Joshua, and similar. I think although Vlad let him go for too many rounds, there was only that one round where I thought Ortiz just didn't have the energy to step on it in the 8th to do the damage, and then by the 9th, Wilder seemed to be back in it. But I mean, everyone's called Wilder, me included, like, his skill set and his technique and all that. But maybe that doesn't matter with him. Maybe he's just one of those guys. It doesn't matter because he's gonna, if he touches you, you're gone, aren't you? Really, like he's a much bigger punch. He's a bigger puncher than AJ by a long distance, I think.
And he's longer.
Like, single punch, you would take his single punch over AJ stuff. But that's going to be a good fight, right? I mean, because I don't know how AJ reacts to someone as weird as that in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you guys a very difficult question to answer. What do you think was a better win? The Klitschko win or the Ortiz win?
Klitschko.
Yeah.
Okay. By a long shot, or is it fairly close?
It's difficult because they're both their best wins. So I mean, we get into real semantics. I just think the guys are better on paper.
Klitschko is definitely much more accomplished than Ortiz by any semblance of it. But I mean, still, like, if you're looking at just eye test wise, like who was actually in the ring, Ortiz wasn't too far behind Klitschko. I would say. I'd say Klitschko was a little bit better.
Early prediction, Leon.
On that fight, I don't know, man.
Do you want to see it though?
Oh, cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm no big, me. I'm not really that interested in the big guys, but if I'm going to watch it, it's got to be the two, like the very best versus the very best, and so of course, I want to see that because and Wilder's got the touch of death, and that's always exciting,
Right.
Yeah, I just have a weird feeling Parker's going to upset everything and just beat Joshua's ass.
Imagine he did.
Can you imagine?
It would be spectacularly funny, but I mean, but yeah, I mean, to be fair to Wilder, like, we criticised him for cab drivers and all, car mechanics and all that. He fed on the way up, but he's tried to fight people since, the last couple of years. Yeah. He tried to fight Povetkin. He tried to fight this guy. He didn't have to fight this guy. He popped and pulled a Canelo, but he did. So I think Wilder wants to fight. I'm pretty sure of that. Like, I think he's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder about the way people have talked about him coming up. But it's taken him a long time to get here. But something's happening, isn't it?
That's I think part of what makes him dangerous too, because it's like he has that chip on his shoulder. He's always like anxious to prove himself, and even when he's hurt, he's throwing bombs to try and hurt you right back.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard some people saying, "Oh, he didn't know what to do when he was hurt," but he tied him up enough. He scrapped his way out of that round, and people were saying.
The only thing is,
another 20 seconds, would he have got knocked out? But it wasn't another 20 seconds, so it doesn't matter.
The only thing is, like, doing that against somebody like Joshua, I'm not sure would work out so well, because Joshua is physically extremely fucking strong.
But if he can get AJ, if he can take AJ deep again, I think it'd be interesting to see who holds up better. But AJ's got fudding power, so he might be able to punch through him a bit,
Yeah, I mean, the more it becomes a combination fight, I'd favor Joshua. The more it becomes a one shot at a time fight, I'd favor Wilder.
Yeah, and then also you can't forget about Wilder's performances against guys like who is a football player and Eric Molina. Like, he's not a very good fighter a lot of times, so it's a 50-50 fight, man.
What do we say like that? I think we've proven to have a semi-decent chin, right, on the back of this fight.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think he gets hurt, but he's not down.
It'll take a follow-up. Yeah, it'll take a follow-up to put him down.
But that's what AJ does very well, to be fair. They're both, I tell you, that's the one thing that's really interesting about it, is they're both kind of very aggressive finishers, aren't they? Like, they'll rush in. So someone might get sparked rushing in. Like, someone might have someone hurt, and someone might get caught with something really big, and that could be it. Which would be a great way for the fight to end.
You know what would be the best technique? If I was either trainer, I would just tell either one of my fighters to feign that you were hurt. And then just at that point, just throw a counter punch, because they're both fucking wild as fuck when they're that aggressive.
I tell you what, it was really interesting. The one thing I liked about the Wilder fight, it was really nice to see little Kim dressed as Michael Jackson for the evening. That was really fun.
That's cold.
What the fuck has she done to herself?
Too much surgery, man.
Scary shit, man. But yeah, that was a good card. I enjoyed it,
It was great, man.
Yeah. I think people were going over the top about how good that fight was. I think there was great rounds, but they were trying to say it was, I think it took a time to get going, but there were some strong rounds, wasn't there?
Yeah, Naota, was it just a two-fight card that? Because over in the UK we had Adam Smith and Johnny Nelson at ringside, killing time because there was some issue with I think it was a urine sample from Uzkatagi, and then it took the fight a bit of a delay for it to happen. But was it a 3-fight card or 2 fights?
No, it wound up being only 2. It was originally supposed to be 3 because it was supposed to be Charlo and Centennial as the starter.
So they didn't replace that?
No, they didn't.
All right. Leon, anything else regarding that card?
No, man.
All right. Who saw any of the fights from Sheffield? Kell Brook, Rabchenko?
I did. I saw
nothing.
Rabchenko fight.
What did you think, Lim?
I'll be back, and I'm back. Kell's back.
The chocolate banner.
Are you putting the whole? You putting the whole
I put the
division?
154 division. I noticed.
That was amazing.
I saw the chocolate banner. I'm back, baby.
Go on. What do you think? It's hard to say in it because the opponent was terrible.
Fucking terrible. I mean, what can you say about it, man? Props to Kell. I mean, I was really hurting for my boy Kell. I know he was battling depression and all that kind of stuff, but he bounced back like a true champion. So yeah, I don't know. Kell's, I think, undersized at that weight class, and he should fight Saddam Ali. I think so, especially against a guy like Jamel or even Lara.
Guys who he's not going to fight.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying, though. Those are the champions. So for me, get a title, fight Saddam Ali, get Saddam Ali to fly his bum ass over to the UK, get that title off of Saddam, and then fight Amir Khan. I think that's the way that you lure Khan into fighting at 154, because I think Khan's going to try to drain Brook down to 147. Because I think in his mind, he's the A side at this point. However, if Brook gets that title off of Saddam, I think he is then the A side himself. So I envision that's the way it goes.
Brook is not Brook. I didn't watch the fight. I saw like the finish. I didn't watch any of that card. Brook is not the A side of anything. Like he got outsold tickets by Dave Allen for that fight. From everything that I've heard, like he got out. He didn't sell as many tickets as a guy who's like a British level heavyweight.
The Doncaster De La Hoya, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, he was the A-side against Errol Spence.
He's the A-side of nothing. Like whatever you say, Khan is in complete control of that, I feel. Other than Eddie's got his hands in it, hasn't he? So
I agree, Lim. I think even if Brook got a belt at 54, I think Khan would still try and drag him down because
he's a bitch.
Because he's a bitch, and also because I think that's where he's going to have more success.
Seriously,
if he goes up
Point
to
blank,
50,
yeah.
if he goes up to 54, it's basically zero success. I think.
Who? Khan?
Yeah. If he fights Brook at
His
54,
career, to me, Khan's career is over as it is. So I don't care what weight they fight each other at. They could fight that weight at fucking 170 pounds. I wouldn't care. The only reason why I want to watch that fight is because of the grudge match and the build up to it. I don't care. That to me is not like a legitimate fight. I just want to see those two guys bang it out.
It's a freak show.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like they don't.
It's like
they both
Bellew
already
versus
hit their
Hayes.
glass ceiling.
It's Bellew versus Hayes. Yeah, literally glass ceiling with Kell's glass eye. Like to me, that fight is just a fight that I want to watch because it resembles Hay versus Bellew, albeit at a higher level. Because I do think Brook is still a decent fighter, and I think Amir's still a decent fighter as well. So I don't care about any kind of like actual legitimacy of that fight. I just want to see them fucking fight.
I just found it funny
The
how
only thing I will say though, Cam, is I do not want to see that fight at welterweight, only for the fact that I think Kell would be so diminished that I could see that fight. I could see that having a negative impact on his actual performance. I want to see them at their full go, so to speak.
Right.
No, I totally agree with you. But I think the only advantage Khan would have is dragging him down, and I think that's what he'll do. But that's just my opinion. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do. I actually think it should be at 154 because Brook he has outgrown the weight. But just for the fight itself, I thought the Sky and the whole commentary team and the pundits and even like the tabloids the next day, I think they're just like looking at this fight a bit bigger than it actually was. They only just beat up a guy that's probably a fringe European level, and they were saying, oh, he's like a world title challenger. Like, Rabchenko's not that good, man. And yeah, he hurt him, and I actually think he kind of quit as well, because there was a little stumble he did just before he was going to get up, man. It looked like he didn't want to have anything to do in the fight, and yeah, like, I don't know why they're so hyped about this win over Rabchenko, but there you go, that's boxing for you.
Well, I mean, to be fair, like, not necessarily from you guys, but I heard a bunch of people saying like, "Oh yeah, Rabchenko's about to give Brook a lot of trouble, and he's fighting Tony Harrison's easy work, and he's about to have a difficulty. He might lose this fight." And Brook went in over there and fucking steamrolled his ass.
He was saying that Rabchenko's cousins.
No, I heard a bunch of people. I'd seen a bunch of people on Twitter and all kinds of shit. Maybe they're just Brook haters or whatever, but I don't know. I'd seen it, so I'm giving Brook full credit. Smashed on this guy. And I mean, shit. I think he's 50-50 against Ali, or I guess if whoever Ali winds up fighting next. And I think he beats. I think he beats Khan. But Brook has a lane to make some good money, even if he's not necessarily the best light middleweight out there.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to. Like, to me, both Khan and Brook, the only reason I even care an iota about either one of their careers is for a potential matchup between the two, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really view their career.
Rios Ortiz level shit right now.
Yeah, albeit at a much higher level, because Rios versus Ortiz is like watching two, mentally impaired people fight. But I think with Khan, I mean, Khan is fighting Phil LaGreco, for fuck's sake. I mean, that's just on a different level, man. As bad as Rabchenko is, he's not fucking Phil LaGreco.
That's true.
I tell you one thing, he's not far off. He lost to Anthony Mundine, a 40-year-old Anthony Mundine.
I think that's.
I don't think LaGreco's fought anybody as good as Anthony Mundine.
Yeah, maybe, but this is what we were talking about. Like, he went to Australia and just didn't let any punches go against a 40-year-old Mundine. This is a warm-up fight, like a low level warm-up fight. So the idea that we're pumping Brook up for anything other than a guy who's just lost badly twice is, I mean, this is meaningless, this fight.
All right. Did anyone, probably most likely Naota, did you see Gamal Yafai versus Gavin McDonnell?
Yeah, I did. McDonald put on a boxing lesson, man. It was just too much too soon for Yafai. I mean, although the Yafai brothers, I don't think are all that talented, especially the ones not named Cal. Gavin McDonnell, even though he lost clearly to Ray Vargas. I mean, he lost to a dangerous and bona fide champion. Give him some trouble in those rounds as well. So he was just at a higher level than Yafai. I'm not sure what they were getting at with this. I thought they thought that Yafai's power would be too much or whatever, but McDowell just boxed him, man. Just boxed his ears off and won a pretty comprehensive decision, I thought.
Yeah, I was disappointed with Gamal. He started off well for the smaller guy. He's kind of having success with his jab, which surprised me. I thought he'd have to just kind of slip and then get on the inside and just work the body. But he was having success with the jab from the outside. I think when you're fighting a guy like Gavin, who I think is the poorer of the brothers, I think he should have just tried to get in the pocket and bang away at the body. I don't understand his game plan. He was starting from too far out, and then after the third round, all he was really relying on was a right hand left hook, and that was the only combination he was throwing. Jab went out the window.
He fought like an amateur in that way, where it's almost like you have those rehearsed combinations that would normally kind of score you points in the amateurs that just don't work in the pros.
What's happened there, though, Cam? Because he was a body puncher because I admit I liked him when he was coming up, but he was fighting nobody. So, but I liked the look of what he was doing. But he was a body puncher, wasn't he, Cam?
He used to throw a really mean left hook to the body, but that was out the window. I don't know if the rain situation and he wasn't stepping in, but yeah, his performance was poor. And Nailton made a great point about that, just going to almost a muscle memory of what you would do and just throw it. And Gavin was picking him off, man. Gavin fought really well, and I've always often criticised Gavin, but his performance was excellent. I even thought he was close to stopping Gamal. I think he was probably the 10th where he's landing uppercuts and hooks, and I was like, shit, man, no power. Gavin's gonna fucking stop Gamal Yafai, but Gamal survived it. He survived the fight as well. I thought the fact that he went 12 was probably going to be good for him in the long run. It did seem like after the 6th, 7th, he didn't really have nothing left, not much snap. He wasn't moving as much, but yeah, props to Gavin. Gamal back to the drawing board, and yeah, he can come again. He's still young, but he just needs to work on things, man. He needs to work on a bit of variety, man. You can't just throw the same combinations. You just get picked off.
The other thing is who's been in charge of his career? Because it seems a bit of a mess to me. I don't think he's done enough to suddenly step up. I'm not saying, we're saying Gavin's a decent fighter, but he's got to European level, hasn't he? So, you don't just suddenly make that jump. What was Gamal's best win before then? I don't know, so it seems strange that they just threw him in like that.
Yeah, I think it's probably best fight up to that date. More competitive was that Sean Davis fight. But yeah, he's they kind of did a bit of a leap with him, but we'll see how it goes. Undercard-wise, I did mention earlier, the Doncaster De La Hoya. David Ellerman got himself into great shape, compared to some of these fat heavyweights, including himself a couple months ago. Don't get me wrong, he wasn't muscular like Joshua, but he really took a lot of pounds off, and so did Lenroy Thomas for the rematch. But just a really bad head clash in the first just caused a ridiculously long cut on David Allen's. I think it was above his right eye. And the fight had to be stopped. Technical draw. And I don't really see him, fighting again, because I think they're probably going different directions, because the amount of time it's going to take for that to heal and then to get the fight in place, it's kind of a weird one, but it was a shame.
They're talking about Joyce fighting him, the Thomas, for his next fight on the Bellew undercard.
That's a good fight, man. That's a very good fight. But that's all I got for
that card. Cam, what about my boy Abdul Barry Awad, a.k.a. Galahad?
Did you watch the fight?
I actually did watch it. The reason why I watched it was because of his kissing interview with Michelle Joy Phelps, so I had to watch it.
I'm not familiar with this interview. What happened with Michelle Joy Phelps?
I have no idea, man. I'm only fucking around. Let's move on.
Let's. What else have we got to discuss? Josh Taylor in Scotland on Saturday.
Watch that.
Sorry?
I watched it. I mean, I have to watch it after going fucking 5,000 miles to watch him fight live. I have to watch every single one of his fights now.
So what did you think?
Taylor's good, man. I want to see him step up. I think it's time. I think he's good enough to fight the top guys at that weight division. I think Taylor himself wanted the fight between Omar Figueroa versus Jose Imam. Omar...
No.
I'm not... what am I saying?
Ramirez versus Imam.
Yeah, Ramirez. Jose Ramirez. They were both in the same Olympic class. I think Taylor versus the winner of that fight would be fantastic.
That would be, because I think he's WBC Diamond, and Imam and Ramirez are fighting for the vacant WBC, so that would make more sense. But yeah, he's good. Opponent was, late replacement. He didn't really offer much. I just hope the McGuigans don't really fuck up Josh's career, man, like the way they guided him, because it seems, I didn't really rate the Vasquez choice for opponent. Didn't rate the Soto choice of opponent. So let's hope they kind of get him into a title fight. They're saying either next, not next, maybe the one after. So if he fights again in summer and then tries to look for a world title in later in the year, then yeah, I'll be happy with that. But anyone else?
Yeah, Taylor to me seems a guy who's too loyal to move on from the McGuigans. But to me, like, Cyclone Promotions just seems like the Titanic at this point. It's like somebody who's still using AOL mail. Like, you just got to give up. You got to get off of that train, my man.
AOL. Noted, did you see it?
LOL.
No, I didn't.
All right. MV2, are you there?
Mr. Keep Running Your Mouth himself.
Chew, if you
what
talk,
up, ho?
if you're talking, Chew, we can't hear you. Chew.
Lions only, Chew.
All right, Chew, you try and get that sorted out, and I'll.
Oh shit! Kittens only after what happened on Saturday. Kittens only.
I'll just talk about quickly on the card of Josh Taylor fight. Jason Easton, that we've seen a few times. Lim and I and Chemo's Home Live.
Fucking do him, Jason!
Fucking do him, Jason! We were sitting next to Jason's family, and they were very animated when he fought on the O'Hara Davis Josh Taylor undercard, so that was quite good. But yeah, he fought Glenn. Really, really good fight. Fought, I thought, was kind of robbed against Josh Leather early in the, was it last year?
It was. Yeah,
it was in November.
In the Smith Williams card.
Yep.
And he was robbed 100%.
Foot was just come forward, throwing a lot of heavy right hands, left hooks, and Jason's defense is poor, man. He wasn't catching anything. He wasn't deflecting anything. Everything was just right on his face. His right hand, he shoots the jab. When he does use it, he didn't use it often enough, and then he'll bring it back to his stomach and then bring it up. And the right hand over the top was coming out all night. My issue was around the eighth round, he was blinking a lot, and I think that's when either his corner and maybe the ref or the doctors could have looked at it, because when a guy starts blinking a lot during the fight, to me it's a bit of a warning sign. So I hope he's okay, and I know he did go to hospital afterwards. So. Props to him. He's got a really good chin. He did get dropped a couple of times, but he took a lot of full shots as well, which didn't seem to discourage him, man. So let's hope he comes back.
Was that a 10-rounder, Cam?
Sorry?
Was that a 10-rounder?
It was a 12-rounder. They jumped him up quite quick. It was for the vacant Commonwealth belt, so that's contested at 12 rounds.
Gotcha.
Let me see if I can get Chew back. But yeah, that's it for the Scotland card.
Poor lad. He's a good dude.
While we're waiting for Chew, Naoto, just want to talk about Lewis Neri Yamanaka 2 quickly?
Neri missed weight by 5 pounds at first.
Sorry, 1 second, Naoto. Chewy there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah, let him go.
Chew, we were just...
man.
Go on.
This is the first time in like 4 years I've had a good microphone. I'm fucking so happy. I apologise to the listeners, but hey, it's a good day. It's a really good day. What are you talking about? What were we talking about there?
Well, we were
talking about your boy Josh Taylor.
Yeah, we're about to let you run a rampage. Go.
That opponent he was facing was absolutely diabolical.
Yeah.
I was actually embarrassed. Just if I had to pay for that, you're just as well that the Jason Easton fight was amazing against Glenn Foote. That could have been fight of the year right there. Obviously, the Charlie Flynn fight was a bit of a letdown again, but my boy Josh Taylor is just a beast. I mean, I don't think anyone at 140 beats him. Mikey Garcia included. I think he beats Mikey Garcia. Why not?
Wow.
You disagree?
That's a big call, man. I'm not saying I disagree, but I think that's like I can't say that nonchalantly. I think that's like you have to like really think about that before you make that statement. I'm not saying that you didn't, but
I've never seen anyone go to the head body as well as Josh Taylor. Forget he's Scottish. All right, okay, it's important. But I've genuinely never seen a guy go to the head or the body that fast. And then even the things he does, the foot movement, the head movement, the counter punching, the hooks, even when he hits a glancing blow, it hurts the guy. He's got power, he's got speed, got a chin probably, although he's never been really tested. I mean, he's only had, 13 fights now? Just put him straight in there. I know the last podcast I was like, he's only had 12 fights, just build him up slowly. Fuck it, he's 27. Let's get a move on. The biggest concern I've got is, will the McGuigan spend his purse?
Will he actually see his own money?
Exactly. And I've actually heard rumours that he likes to go on the lash a bit.
Yeah.
Good
robot voice.
But you, don't you think it's a big step up going from some of these, like, what's his best win? Probably O'Hara Davis, and then going straight to Mikey, man. That's dangerous to me, I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't go straight to Mikey. There's guys they could beat at that weight class, like Bartholomew and stuff. Just put him in there with him and see what happens. Who are the bet holders at 140 right now?
It's all
right
up in
now,
the air.
Yeah, there's a lot of
WBA
belts
is vacant, but vacant going to be filled by Bartholomew Relic. WBC is vacant, going to be filled by Imam versus Ramirez. WBO is vacant, possibly going to be filled by Flanagan versus Hooker.
Yeah. So he beats Ramirez, he beats Bartholomew, he beats Amir Rahman.
I'm not sure if he beats Ramirez. Ramirez would be pretty difficult.
You think so?
Yeah.
I'll put money on that.
I think that's a step too far. He may be able to get him in a couple of years, but I think now might be too soon. I think Ramirez is coming to his own.
Neota, you think he beats both Bartholomew and Relic? I think he does.
I do, yeah. And I think he'd beat Hooker or Flanagan.
Yeah. Flanagan's a good fight in the UK as well. So
Flanagan's a great fight. The thing is, I think he's already better than Flanagan.
I agree, yeah, but I think it, like, Scotland versus England and all that shit, they'd be able to sell the shit out of that.
Yeah.
And Flanagan's a dirty bastard.
And that will piss Josh off, because, like, Josh has got a temper. You can tell he's the type of guy you don't want to piss off,
I thought the Channel 5 coverage, just the kind of fawn of Josh Taylor, was quite cringy.
It was, man.
It's so put on. Just back up a bit. He's only had 13 fights. He's not. I know I've just kind of waxed lyrical about him, but
you're just a punter off the street. It doesn't matter. Like, it's different when it's the TV people, right?
Exactly, and it's from a guy who I actually like, whose name I forget.
Arthur, what's his name?
Yeah, the main presenter.
No, he's talking about the guy we love, man.
Paul Dempsey.
Dempsey.
Yeah, Paul Dempsey.
I haven't seen it yet. I haven't listened to it. I'm just watching it now.
Yeah, it's cringy, man, Leon. Like, at the end, he's like, I think you're really good. You're going to go on. And it's like, come on, man. Like, be a bit independent, motherfucker.
But he's a slayer. He doesn't usually take bullshit.
Yeah, he must have, like, some type of invested interest in me, because he was, like, proper, like, brown-nosing, man.
You got some shares.
Yeah.
Hey, Chu, do you think Cyclone is willing to put Josh Taylor, step him up right now, just considering the lack of talent that they have on their stable?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, that's a shame.
I think they're going to milk him for all he's worth. Another Scott Harrison job, another Ricky Burns job. They're just going to... It's such a tragedy with Scottish fighters, because he could go right in right now and win. Like I'm saying, and I think he's gonna just waste his prime just fighting these guys, because obviously the McGuigans are gonna come into financial difficulties once Carl Frampton wins that case, and I'm sure he will. So they want to, protect their investment. I'm wondering if Josh Taylor's looking at that case and thinking, "Hold on, what the fuck am I doing with this guy?"
I would be.
I mean, I would hope so, but he just seems like a really loyal dude. And I don't obviously know much about Scottish people, but it just seems like he's like a ride or die type of guy. So who knows?
Yeah, I personally think that he would be better with Matchroom. Why not? No, Frank won. Fuck him. But Matchroom, he'd be good for him.
No, I think they would. I think they'd promote him well, especially if he goes to Matchroom as well. They can do the passing of the torch fight with I'm sorry to say, with your boy Ricky.
Yeah, Ricky deserves a payday. One last. I don't know if he's still working in JD Sports, but I'm sure he's not by now.
No, but the only thing that I'm hopeful for, Chu, is I was watching an IFL interview afterwards, and Taylor wanted the winner of the Imam versus Jose Ramirez fight. And I think Taylor has enough of a temper where if he doesn't get the matchups that he wants, he's going to go directly to Barry and Shane and say, look, motherfucker, give me this fight or else I'm done. Because the guy has a temper, and I love it. I love that fact about him.
Chu, anything else regarding Taylor?
No, regarding Taylor, did you mention the Jason Easton fight?
Yeah, I'll give my 2 cents. And what did you think?
You know, I was listening to the Channel 5 commentary. I wasn't there. In Channel 5, Alex Arthur was the co-commentator, and Alex Arthur was basically saying that Jason Easton was fighting like Diego Corrales. You know, like a tall, lanky fighter who likes to come in the inside and not really use his reach. But, you know, as much as, you know, Daniel Lim likes Jason Easton and Jason Easton's sister, I don't really like...
It's not his sister, man. It's his cousin.
Oh, right.
Fucking hell, Cam. Cam, what's wrong with you, dude?
My bad. I didn't know. I thought it was a sister.
Nah, it's his cousin, bro.
We need to call a spade a spade. He doesn't have a defence. He doesn't really... He's got skills, but he doesn't really use them. He'll use them for like 30 seconds of a round, and then he'll get hit, and then he'll just go into kind of berserker mode. Get into a slugfest with a guy who's really fucking good. That was the first time I've seen Glenn Foot. Really brilliant pressure fighter. Just right hand after right hand, and just, even though it kind of looks like Smeagol, but the way he was kind of moving with a little kind of comb over.
Yeah.
Just the way he was moving, he was just like unstoppable on that night.
Do you think they could have stopped that fight a bit early?
100%.
Yeah, he was taking too many flush shots, wasn't he?
I was watching I've watched YouTube comments and stuff, like of interviews Jason Easton gives. He blinks a lot during the interviews, and I was noticing in that fight he was blinking a lot.
Oh, it's funny. It's funny you mention that, because I just mentioned that before you came on, and now that you said that, if he does that all the time, then that's fair enough. But I did notice it around the 8th round afterwards, and I was worried that they should maybe stop the fight.
Well, I didn't hear you say that, but I was thinking that as well. But then I saw the interviews after the fact, and he's just a guy who blinks a lot. That said, I think fights like that are probably going to ruin your career.
Yeah.
You know, I would think twice, or I would change it up a bit, change camp, change something, because you're going to get fucking hurt. It's a tough game. Like, what I will say is he's always in a great fight.
Good chin as well. Good chin.
No,
very good chin.
No,
but
true. I never said I really liked Easton. I actually don't think he's that good of a fighter. I mean, the only other fight that I saw was the undercard of the Taylor Davies fight, and even then he was having a lot of trouble against a very, very, very basic opponent. So I just feel bad for the guy, man. Like, what was that, his 12th or 13th fight? And for him to go through that much damage that early in his career, that's not a good sign, man.
Yeah, that fight reminded me of Alex Arthur, Michael Gomez. I thought it was ironic that Alex Arthur was commentating on that fight. This guy from England just came up and smashed him. But Easton's got skills, he just doesn't use them. You know, he's been highly touted as a prospect. I just think that obviously in the heat of the moment when he takes a shot, kind of like Guy, he just goes into like Hulk mode. He just can't resist a tear up. Shame, because he's probably got, as Conor McGregor would say, the attributes to do well.
Yep. All right, Chu, we've all covered this earlier. You want to start off with Ortiz versus Wilder?
Yeah, I actually heard a little bit of what you guys were saying. I'm going to just try and take a different approach. Keep it different for the listener. I was really impressed with the Showtime commentary. You know, before I get to the actual fight, I think Ranello is one of the best commentators that's ever done it.
When he
Like-
puts his when he puts his
Control like that.
when he puts his movie analogies in about vibranium and this and that, and
Vibranium chin and stuff.
Mamma mia!
He likes to fetishize Deontay Wilder. You notice that? Like 50 Shades of Grey and stuff.
of Wakanda to overcome his opponent.
He
Like-
at the end of the first round, he went, "This is the end of frame one." Like, what's he fucking on about?
The tip of the whip. Every time Wilder would jab it, but the tip of the whip. Like
He's a weirdo.
I think because he does three sports, he does MMA and wrestling. He knows the background of every fighter. He knows every move. He knows every punch. He knows little factoids. 1968 Puerto Rican champion, all that stuff. He's just, I think he's unbelievable.
I think he works for Rotten Tomatoes as well.
Does he?
No, I was joking, because of the movie analogies.
She was almost unsurprised about it too.
But just to play devil's advocate to that, if a casual fan is listening or a boxing fan who's watched maybe a couple of fights and he's inserting all these pop culture references, you're going to get glued to that. You're going to be even magnetized to that. Someone's talking to him behind the scenes like, could you put this in? Could you put that in? It's just good production value. I think Showtime's fucking amazing now.
Don't you think it's a bit cheesy, don't you?
What, Showtime or Ranella?
Ranello, like, references to pop
He
culture and stuff.
sometimes can be. He sometimes can be. But I mean, you're gonna when you're towing that line, you're gonna cross over it every so often. But I think what you was saying is pretty accurate, though. I mean, I think he's really good. I think all the references are really good. The allusions to a lot of the pop culture stuff, especially for the casual fan, or get him more into the fights, more into boxing as a whole. I think he's a good addition.
Even like you compare and contrast that with HBO, it's like a fucking funeral over there.
Yeah,
Jim Lampley's like, he's never really getting infused about who Kovale's fighting, or even fucking Bivol is. Like, you've got
the only one who really gets enthused amongst HBO is Max Kellerman, and sometimes Roy Jones, but like a lot of times Kellerman, it just comes off as really phony.
Absolutely. They've went downhill so fast. What are they doing? It's like Harry Carey, even like, why? I know that Kovalev had that fight booked before Showtime had that fight booked with Wilder. But why has boxing got to have those two fights on at the same day in the same city?
Stupid.
When I'm looking at that Kovalev fight, it's like a dark room. It's like you've got 3 rows deep and then it gets dark. It's crazy. Like, it's just and I'm wondering if that's rubbing off in the HBO commentary. They've just got no excitement about it anymore. Whereas the Showtime, it's like a big party. Paul Malignaggi's enjoying himself. Al Bernstein's enjoying himself. Fucking Wilder's coming down to Little Kim trying to rap. It's just like a big party.
However, there is one big L about Showtime is they have that new show with Brendan Shaw, Below the Belt. That's an automatic L.
Yeah, well,
he is
doesn't know
fucking
fuck all about
terrible.
boxing.
Exactly, and they're pumping him up. So there's the good and the bad. Ranello, I actually don't mind Mauro Ranello. I think anybody who's that enthused about boxing is a plus for me. But Brendan Schaub is one of the most detestable human beings on this planet. So that also kind of balances that out for me.
You're just a hair.
True, and what about the fight itself? Wilder Ortiz?
Yeah, so the fight itself, Wilder was really being a bit cautious the first couple of rounds. I thought Ortiz was, who I picked, was doing really well first couple of rounds up until Wilder scored his knockdown. Then it kind of changed for a couple of rounds, but Ortiz was punching with Wilder. Like, even when Wilder did punch, Ortiz was right there with him. He wasn't going too far away. I thought Paul Malignaggi was doing a good job commentary, just saying that, Ortiz was just right there with him. Even though, like, Wilder's longer, he's right there in the pocket, ready to capitalise with a counter. He was just making little kind of side steps, ready to go. I thought Wilder demonstrated a great chin. Like, we've had doubts before, but Ortiz hit him with some fucking big shots in that 7th round. I never thought he was close to being stopped. I thought Wilder is so unpredictable. He doesn't even know what he's doing, and if he doesn't know what he's doing, then his opponent definitely doesn't know what he's doing. And I think that's a great thing, that unpredictability. I wasn't a fan before. He's made me a fan.
It's kind of Maidana-esque.
Times 10. Man,
like the stuff he says, like he's grown as a person. He's grown as a boxer. Like even the stuff is like you speak it, you believe it, and then you receive it.
What about his comment on Eddie Hearn?
I missed that. What did they say?
Oh, the white man milking a black man. I mean, is he growing there, Chu?
Yeah, well, I mean, what? I mean, I've heard the Billy Joe Saunders say that that's racist. Is it? Is it racist?
I don't know if it's racist, but I think it's not accurate at all.
Sorry, I missed that. I missed that. What did you say?
It's touching on a certain. It's touching on a pretty sensitive subject at the very
Leon,
least.
Deontay Wilder pretty much just said that Eddie Hearn is milking another. What Eddie Hearn is doing to AJ is another white man milking a black man.
Oh right, yeah.
It's just dumb.
Yeah, it's pretty retarded considering how much Bella was running off at the mouth in the post fight, like running the whole show right after.
I think it doesn't matter if it's black or white. Eddie Hearn just does that to everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't see colour.
He's an equal employee.
It's his money.
He's an equal
green.
employee.
Yeah, exactly. He's green.
Yeah.
You know, even Eddie Hearn throwing in Gamal Yafai into the fucking fire early doors. He just needs the card. That's it. He just needs the card to get by. He's got his favourites. Eddie Hearn. You know, Kell Brook's a favourite.
Sure. So yeah, true. Early prediction for that fight, Wilder versus AJ.
You know, everyone knows it's no secret. I'm not a fan of AJ. I think he's robotic. I think he's overhyped. And I think Wilder beats him. And I've changed my mind because I said last week that Wilder beats Joshua. Oh, sorry, Joshua beats Wilder. I've changed my mind. I think Wilder beats him. Just too athletic.
See, what will happen? AJ will start Parker in 1. Then you'll be like, I'm picking AJ again.
Well, I did say that that's a 50-50 fight. Parker's really a live dog in that. He's really underestimated. I'd love to see Parker against Ortiz if Parker doesn't win.
That's a good fight.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, but Chu, did you catch any the one undercard fight, Andre Durrell rematch versus Jose Uzcategui?
Yeah, I saw bits and pieces of this fight. I mean, this Uzcategui, am I saying it right? He's a beast. He reminds me of Kovalev. You know, he's like a praying mantis in there, like the kind of limbs. Even his defense. It's like he's leaning back, and if he can't lean back, he'll block it with an elbow. He'll just do it whatever he can to just take that shot, and then he'll just come back, roll with it. Just cutting off the ring. That body shot that he knocked Durrell down with, I didn't think it landed when I first saw it. I thought maybe Durrell was just looking for a way out. But then when you see it replayed, it was like right in the money. I feel sorry for Durrell. I mean, people are questioning. I heard Leon earlier questioning his courage and his heart.
No. I didn't say his courage or his heart. I said he didn't. I said his skills are overrated. If in the moment you need skills, they fail you, then the skills are worthless.
Well, I can't disagree with that, but what I will say is the guy didn't have to rematch this guy who was on his way to knocking him out last fight. Then quick turnaround, he's fighting him again. This guy is clearly a beast. This guy is the guy to beat. He beats Gross. Like, I think this guy's vulnerable to 1-2s down the pipe. Who's the guy? But I think Groves just doesn't have that physicality to deal with this guy. Neither does Benavidez, who's just a worse version of this guy. And
what about Caleb Plant?
That's the tricky one.
That's a tricky
I
one
don't-
because Tudor never heard of him.
I need to go speak to Dwyer, get a second opinion from a stranger online, or
Steve Kim
Steve Kim,
on
Wolverhampton,
the Undisputed Network. Who knows, man?
or Montoya.
No,
Yeah.
but Tudor, the praying mantis thing was excellent because you kind of summarised the analogy I was looking for, like those kind of hunched up shoulders and that. But yeah, man, I really like Uzcategui as well. But let's move on to the other card that I was on at the same time in the same city at a different venue. Kovalev headlined it, but basically it was all about Dimitri Bivol versus Sullivan Barrera. What do you think of the fight?
Fucking Dimitri.
You're jumping on the bandwagon.
Dimitri Bivol. Of course I'm a. Look at that.
Leon, is there room for you on this or what? Because I denied Steve Wellings a place. I seen Steve talking highly about Bivol on Twitter, and I said, "Sorry, Steve, no room on here."
I think it's getting a bit heavy. I think the bumper's going to be scratching the floor soon.
I think so. But
Burning up.
Chew, what do
But we'll
you
let
think?
Chew on.
Nah, I mean, Bivol is like the caramel mocha latte of boxing. He's trendy. He's like the
He's like a chai tea latte.
Tai Chi latte.
Yeah, and then grande size at that with a double shot of espresso.
He's like the beard and dungarees of boxing. He's just like the hipster's choice. And how can you disagree with that? He's got everything.
Yeah.
I mean, he's even like, if you bred him in a laboratory, the ultimate boxer, even like, he's half Korean, half Moldovan.
Yeah.
So he's got the kind of Korean skin. It doesn't really fucking swell up.
Oh, yeah, tell me about it, please.
I've got it. And he's got the Moldovan power.
Mm.
And
Go on.
the combinations, man. Man. Tip of the whip.
Go on.
Awesome.
Lim's got the lube
Go
out.
on.
Nah, you guys were mentioning earlier that he's I don't know if it was Leon. I don't want to blame Leon again. Someone said he had slow feet. Or
No, not me.
I didn't really see that. I saw a guy.
I think Cam.
That was
I think
Cam.
No, Cam said he goes back in straight lines, which I agree he does.
Only when he's not in danger. Is my kind of observation. To me, he's like he was hitting a heavy bag in there. I mean, to do that to Barrera, he made him look slow, clumsy, old. It was game, but
To be fair to Cam, though, I think in a hypothetical matchup against Kovalev, I think Kovalev might be quick and kind of snappy enough, whereas Bivol might think he can get away with that kind of shit. But against a guy like Kovalev, he might just get caught at the tail end of that tip, like Ranella likes to say. So,
well, you mentioned earlier, Lim, that he reminds you of Triple G, Bivol.
yeah, the thuddingness of his punches.
Even the way he kind of puts his punches together.
Yes.
I've always wanted to see Triple G Kovalev, and I think this is probably going to be as close as you'll get in terms of like styles.
Sure.
I pick Bivol right now.
Wow. You know what? I'm more interested than anything, Kuchu. I just want to watch like a 1.5 hour documentary on Netflix just about how his parents met in Kyrgyzstan. Just a love story of his father, Mr. Miyagi, and the Korean wife of his. That must be a beautiful love story. I mean, they must have really been in love, despite all the social pressures. Those two people coming together like that. It's really beautiful.
It's like a kind of box nation Romeo and Juliet.
Exactly. And I don't know if you caught the HBO special. Ward asked him, what was it like for you, being Korean and Moldovan and Kyrgyzstan? And he was like, it's tough. And the Ward immediately interjected, was like, yeah, I know what that was like. I'm a product of a black black mother and a white, father. So I could totally relate. And he just took over the entire show. So, if you want to.
Yeah. That's actually why I really like Paulie Malignaggi. Is like Paulie Malignaggi doesn't really kind of put his box rec out there when he's commentating. He just sticks to whatever's happening in the ring. You know, I was watching Danny Garcia, Brandon Rios, and I believe Paulie Malignaggi's fought Zab Judah, because they were saying Danny Garcia's only ever been buzzed by Zab Judah, and it was really easy for Paulie Malignaggi to say, "Oh yeah, I've fought Zab, you know, in the gym or whatever." I can attest. You know, it was really easy to kind of promote yourself, but he just stuck to the fight. Whereas I feel Andre Ward doesn't. You know, if he can pat himself on the back, he will.
Andy's always like, I don't know if you've noticed, Stu, he said it in that show, I think, and then he said it, I think it was on the Superfly card or something like that, where, oh, I might come out of retirement. If you retire. Don't, like, fucking just tease back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, we all know he's going to come back. He's just waiting.
He's gonna come back and he's gonna school Anthony Joshua, man. And then he's gonna unify the heavyweight.
He couldn't possibly be taking another break to make sure he's not tested, could he? That's all I'm saying. Bona fide drug cheat.
We are talking about work, right?
Yeah. We'll come to the other one. But, you know, another 2 years off killing Goosen, charming, and to get off for drugs. And now he's taking another one off to get off for drugs. Very Christian of him.
All right, let's get back on topic. Chew, anything else regarding Bivol?
Brilliant. Beast.
And did you watch the Kovalev fight, or did you just like fall asleep during it?
Right, so I saw the Bivol fight. I did not see the Kovalev fight. I saw the highlights, you know, those kind of 1 minute highlights on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, that pisses me off as well. I definitely think that, you know, I'll get back to Kovalev in just a second. HBO is just leaving money on the table with this extreme difficulty in catching the fight after the fact. I looked everywhere. Streams, fucking, you know, everywhere, man. Seeing Saturday night, I was like a security guard, all these fucking cameras and views I was trying on, streams and shit.
Did you go to do the secret knock and the secret handshake in the back alley?
No, I didn't get that bad. You know, I didn't see fucking Salido down there, but HBO have just got to sort themselves out. I mean, it's not 2005. The internet is a good thing. You want to grow the sport. After the fight's done, it doesn't matter. Let people see it. Yep. You're not going to sell the fight again on DVD. I've talked about this before, but they're still at it.
Crazy.
I can remember Thomas Hauser a couple of years ago was like picking up the guy who runs HBO now, the young guy. I can't remember his name. But anyways, he's not doing it right. He's destroyed HBO. Turned on a part-time company. They went from the top to the bottom really quickly. I bet you fucking even Golden Boy's house channel's better than them. They're probably putting on more fights. It was actually embarrassing, the fall.
Peter Nelson?
That's his name.
Yeah.
I totally 100% agree, Chew. It's just, in this day and age, it's stupid.
They're out the fight game, guys. All they care about is major fights.
That's why they sound so disinterested. Like Chew was saying about Lampley, it's like he's like can't be bothered being there.
They're not out of the game. It's like Peter Nelson could do more than he's doing, but he's a writer. He's not a fucking head of programming.
To play devil's advocate to the idea of just letting it go, why a TV company would not just let it go up straight after a fight is because you pay subscription, and part of your subscription is an on-demand service, and part of your on-demand service is sporting events and stuff, is all those kind of events. They're not going to give it away for free straight away. I'm just saying that would be their argument. I think it's it should all be up there. Like what Sky are doing to Davey Boy and all that, just like shutting him down all the time. Why does it matter? Like we need this. Like we like.
But I feel saying they're really good about it though.
They're cool. They don't seem to give a fuck. They don't take anything down. Yeah,
they just let it go.
Unless their legal department is just a load of drunks who don't know how to use the internet. I don't know. That could be it.
But just back to Kova. Obviously, you only saw the highlights, but I know Kovalev was your guy a good couple of years ago. Do you see him like kind of not on his last leg, but soon to retire almost?
Yeah, this is his last run. His timing's awesome. You know, I know you're probably going to talk about the Kell Brook fight, or I don't know if you have already, but you know, the way that Kell Brook timed Rabchenko, it's kind of the same way that Kovalev does when he has his opponents. It's like, it's just really eye-catching, and it just looks, ooh, you know, like, ooh, that's fucking incredible. But this guy who was fighting, I think he was good and he caused Kovalev's problems. From what I read, I'm not going to say I watched it, but he never had the power to trouble Kovalev, so to me it's just another step-up fight, you know, keep busy fight. And then obviously Kovalev's going to fight whoever's going to fight next. Hopefully it's a big one. I'd love to see Stevenson. I'd just love to get rid of Stevenson. Just get him out of the equation. I don't know who that's going to be, though.
I think, well, he's fighting Badu Jack, so I think Jack beats him. Like, inactivity combined with the fact that he's getting older, and I also think when you've had a run of really poor opponents, you're just not on your A game, and I think he'll probably be underprepared for Jack. Even though, like, I'm a kind of Jack hater, but the last couple years after that loss that year, that knockout loss, like, he's really improved, man. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
how is Stevenson still the linear champ with so many people? I'm checking websites and stuff, and he's like the champ. Like, who's he fought?
He fought von Flores twice, right?
He
beat the man to beat the man.
He the lineal champ, though.
Surely Andre Ward or Kovalev is the guy, because they fought each other. You know,
and
Ward
Ward
got away with it, man.
And Ward fought Dawson before Stevenson did.
Yeah, we dragged him down.
Beat him.
There was a whole main event fallout as well a couple years ago. So it's the networks too. Even though Stevenson is at fault as well, the promotional companies are at fault.
Yeah, you guys were mentioning that Super 8 at light heavy. The 8th guy I would add,
yeah,
is George Grove. Because he can't make super middle anymore, and you know he's already got a good record at super.
Can you imagine George Grove versus Bivol or Kovalev? You really want to do that to George Grove?
That'd be a fun fight.
Yeah, for what, 10 seconds?
Man, George Groves is live, man.
Yeah.
Believe in the mystical powers of the Rubik's Cube.
Yeah,
sure.
All right, Chu.
Go on,
Leo.
I've got to go in a bit, Cam. So can we just quickly talk about Canelo and then I'll just say what I thought about Eubank Groves, and I've got to get up in the morning.
Yep, go ahead.
Amazing. Canelo has failed a drug test. I hope they cancel the fight. It's an absolute joke.
Canelo, Leon.
Pednello. I off. I hope the fight's off.
What's that? He's failed a drugs test?
Yeah.
Yep. Tested positive for clenbuterol.
Yep.
Fucking hell.
But it's the beef. How is this allowed to be a constant excuse now? Just buy your meat, like you're a multi-millionaire. Like that. Like what are you doing? How is that an excuse? It's just not good enough. I hope the fight's off. I really do. Genuinely, 100% hope the fight is cancelled because of this. It would be glorious. Eubank is shit. I wish I'd never said anything. I've never got on that hype train. It was hugely disappointing how limited he looked in that fight. Yeah, like Groves didn't even have to get out second gear to win that fight. I didn't think.
Yeah.
It was disappointing. I didn't think he was. I always thought Eubank was limited, but maybe I thought there was something else he'd offer. Well, I was horribly wrong, and that was a shame. He probably really got no business being up at that weight. But the chin is decent, so he's got half his dad's chin. I'll give him that because he took some heavy shots in that fight.
Yep.
He certainly did.
Say that, Chu? What was that?
He certainly did. But
he took some big shots, didn't he?
I mean, we were all collectively questioning his chin, but if he's received anything from his dad, it's that.
Yeah. because the power's not there. I mean, he was just so like. I mean, he couldn't get near Groves, really, could he? He got him on the ropes a couple of times, but not didn't do any huge amount of damage.
Yeah, he just resorted to just winging away from, shooting from the hip with big hooks, and he never really adjusted, man. Like, I think there was 2 like legit knockdowns, you could call it, that weren't called. He was kind of lunging in, he got hit with a shot, and one time his knee touched down, the other time he kind of, fell to the ground.
His fist. Yeah.
Yeah, both I think were legit knockdowns, and yeah, he was just awful. There's one time I seen an adjustment. I was in the building, atmosphere was great as usual, but there's one time where after like countless wild lead left hooks, like and they were wide as well. They weren't even short shots; they were just really wide left hooks. He threw like a feint, like he was gonna throw it, and then threw like a screw shot with the left hand. And that was only one adjustment I've seen in the whole fight. The rest of the fight, he was fucking awful, man. I think Prince Nassim saved the night just because of the entertainment value going back and forth.
But he was great. I sent out a tweet. It's like Naz is one of us, because that's how we would have reacted if we'd been there. Like
he was on Ching.
You reckon?
I think a lot of them were.
But one quick last thing before, because I've got to go. But I love British boxing's a weird thing, isn't it? Like British boxers, they all love each other, but for some reason they've all got a bee in their bonnet about Chris Eubank, and they all came out. Martin Murray, Paul Smith, all these renowned failures, like who have bona fide failed on numerous occasions, all couldn't wait to stick their fucking boot in, could they? No. It's such a weird thing.
No, I agree, but like the Eubanks have said a lot of shit about them, so it just all came back to him. Like
no, totally. You reap what you sow, but like I just found it hilarious that people like Paul Smith have got the nerve to say anything about any. Like if I went and just boxed out of nowhere, I don't think he deserved to have a say on it. Paul Smith, like he's the worst.
Yeah.
But, and then Callum just beat up a kickboxer. That was a terrible replacement. And anyway, on that note, good night, gentlemen, and I'll catch up with you all soon.
All right, take care, Leon. Thank you.
Cheers, guys. See you later.
Chew, let's get back online, because we've almost hit 2 hours, and obviously we've still got a lot to cover. So have you finished upon Kovalev and Bivol and everything, yeah?
Yeah, I'm done.
Do you want to give your thoughts on whatever you saw on Sky Sports Card on Saturday in Sheffield? So Kell Brook, Rebchenko and Gamal Yafai versus Gavin McDonnell.
Yeah, Gamal Yafai, first of all. You saw that fight, Cam, yeah?
Yep.
So we were talking on WhatsApp when that fight was on, and I was mentioning to you that Gamal Yafai had a really good first round. He had a great variety in his shots, but he started to load up on the left hook in particular, and for a 5'9" guy in McDonald to keep ducking under it, I thought was kind of poor. He was just telegraphing it too much, and he was gassing out because he kept going for the big shots. Yafai, he just kept gassing out, and really, like McDonald's just like that guy I said last time. He's just like that guy. He just paces you out. He's like that hunter from 10,000 years ago in the Stone Age. He just stalks the deer or the antelope until the antelope has a heart attack and collapses.
Dies of exhaustion.
Yeah, he doesn't put any leverage in his shots, McDonnell. He doesn't even try to. He doesn't want to. It's all about kind of, I'm not going to say arm punches, but you know what I mean? It just kind of flows. He's one pace, but he's good with it. And I thought Yafai probably learned more in that fight than his whole career put together. He'll come back, because I like him. He's got a really good right hand. I don't think he used it enough against McDonnell. I think he was just gone left hook. He just went mental on the left hook. I don't know if that's like something they worked on in camp. It's just like, calm down, man. Just you're landing a good right hand to the body, you're doing well, and then about the 6th round, they just shot the bed. Happens. What did you think, Cam?
I mentioned it earlier, so I won't go over myself. But yeah, I was disappointed with Gamal. Just too many right hand, left hooks, and you should have just got on the inside and worked the body. On a big, tall guy like that, You just got to take the legs away from him, and that's what you should have done. But I said earlier, I agree with you. I think he'll come back. He would have learned a lot in this fight. Like, he would have learned more than fighting like 10 average bums, that Eddie brings across from Eastern Europe. So yeah, we'll see. But what do you think of Brook versus Rabchenko?
Brilliant, man. Brilliant. I think he bounced back. He broke them up. Broke them up. I think Brook on that show, and he's too small height-wise for Charlos.
Against Jermel?
Yeah, against both.
I was saying earlier, man, I thought Kell looked so impressive that I think him versus Jermel would be a 50-50 fight.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I just think Kell's too skilled for Jermel at this point. And the way that Kell was, how well he was doing against Errol, just in the mid-range in the first 6 rounds of the fight, I think he could replicate that performance against Jermel.
No.
I'm fucking around. I didn't say anything. Like that.
Lions only.
Yeah, but however, we were having a discussion just about Kell versus Amir, and I think if Kell versus Amir takes place at 154, I think Kell fucking starches Khan. Easy.
Absolutely, yeah. It'll be 150. I think that's the weight that Khan's next fight's at 150.
Catch weight 150.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kell Brook is 154. That's probably always been his natural weight class. I thought it was funny Errol Spence saying that he would like to rematch Kell Brook at 154.
If he got the title, right? Isn't that what he said?
Yeah, if he got the title, yeah. If he got the title. I think, who's the guy who beat Cotto again? What's his name?
Saddam Ali.
Yeah, he could beat him.
I think he's got a fight. I think he's got to fight Beefy Smith, so we'll see.
Oh, my boy Liam?
Fight, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
If Smith wins that.
Oh, man, the Smith brothers. What a run those brothers are on, right?
Yeah, I mean, the new Beatles.
Yeah, anything else, Chu, from that card about Brook?
Fuck that. It's over.
Okay, let's move on. What should we talk about next, Cam?
I just want to go through a quick few this week, and then we'll go. I don't want to interrupt and start chopping it with Leon, because I think the Eubank discussion could have went on too long, and he got to go to bed. So, Naota, just give us your opinion on the rematch between Yamanaka and Neri, and just a bit of information about pre-fight, all the antics about weight and stuff for the people that don't know.
Yeah, well, of course, after the first fight, it came out that Neri had tested positive for Zolpadorol, which is kind of an analog of clenbuterol. The contaminated meat excuse was trotted out there. The WBC allowed him to keep the title, but Ring Magazine actually gave the belt back to Yamanaka. So incidentally, they kind of both went into this rematch as champions, but Neri failed to make weight by not 1 pound, not 2 pounds, but 5 pounds. He weighed 123 pounds officially at the first weigh-in. He had 2 hours to lose the weight as is customary. He only got down to 121. He looked absolutely trashed after losing that couple of pounds. But you wouldn't have known it when he entered the fight, because the next day in the ring, he looked way more powerful, way more explosive, way stronger, way faster than he ever had at 118. And he beat the dog shit out of Yamanaka, dropped him 5 times, dropped him with a jab, and knocked him out in 2 rounds. Just an absolutely brutal destruction, and really unfortunate for Yamanaka, who was the longest reigning champion in boxing, both in terms of time as well as in terms of number of defenses. He was on his way to breaking the record for most world title defenses by a Japanese world champion. And Neri broke him instead. But Neri didn't escape without consequence, though. He got a 1-year ban by the Japanese Boxing Commission, so he can't fight in Japan for at least a year. And he's banned indefinitely by the WBC for fighting for any of their titles pending a hearing that they may have sometime in the next couple of months. But he's not going to be able to fight Ray Vargas at 122 for the WBC belt, for instance. And he won't be able to fight Ryosuke Iwasa, who also defended his IBF belt on the same card at super bantamweight for the IBF title either. And it's doubtful if he'd ever get a shot at Magdaleno for the WBO. So his only chance at winning another title would probably be Daniel Roman for the WBA. But even then, who knows if that would happen. Neri, didn't escape without consequence. So, it seems like they're trying to do right by Yamanaka, even though there's not a whole lot you could do right by him. He did fight a guy that failed the drugs test the first fight, and fight an overweight guy in the second fight, and ultimately that was his undoing. He announced his retirement. The WBC belt is now vacant at bantamweight, and it's unfortunate for Young. It's unfortunate all the way around because Neri is a great talent, and honestly, I'd probably favor him over everybody at 122. He's that good, but it's a matter of if he can stay out of trouble and actually get fights now.
That's the problem. I was going to just mention that. Who's really going to fight him as a voluntary, or unless there's a high ranking available, or maybe some type of final limitator? Because he's so powerful and he bum rushes you. He's just going to be ducked by everyone unless there's some type of big money or some type of belt or trinket on the line.
Positioning.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's in a difficult position now, which is a shame, but he brought it upon himself. So,
right.
All right, let's move on. February 16th, I just want to quickly mention congrats to Ray Beltran. He beat Paulos Moses for the WBO vacant lightweight title. I watched the fight. It was a close fight, man. I didn't think Moses would give Beltran as much trouble as he did. I think I just had him nicking it, kind of 7-5 fight. Beltran, he just gives opportunities to get hit too easily, man. It's like he doesn't care about what's coming back because he's got such a good chin. But yeah, Moses was landing quite clean shots on him, but he's managed to get the belt. I do think as he was always an uncrowned champion. Sorry, Chu. I did think he beat. Most people thought he beat Ricky Burns.
Yeah.
So he finally got the title, which I'm happy for. I just see it as Arum as kind of a chess move, though, just to either give Video an easy title shot or Lomachenko if he comes up to lightweight. So yeah, it just seems that's the only reason why kind of Arum went after that.
I think
belt.
both.
Yeah, but
yeah, he'll cash in on Verdejo's chips, and then he'll use Beltran to get Lomachenko a belt.
What did you say, Lim?
I think Beltran would beat Verdejo.
I'd have to agree. Verdejo, as he's kind of evolved, he's not looked like this dude that everyone was kind of hyping up, and Beltran's got a lot of experience, man, and I think if he lands clean on Verdejo, you're gonna have issues.
That's what I'm saying. He's more trouble than he's worth at this point. They're gonna cut his contract loose, and they're gonna feed him to Beltran. Beltran's gonna knock him out, and that'll be it.
Gotcha. Okay,
but
let's move on, Kim.
No, quickly though, Naota, I was thinking about this whole, how ESPN and whoever Beltran, the channel they fought on, they've always kind of milked this green card thing. Don't you think it'd be an ideal situation for the WBC, who love to make up belts for everything, to make like a green card belt? So if you want to get
I was actually just gonna ask, couldn't he just get any variation of the WBC belt and just show it to the IRA or whatever agency here in the States and just say, I have a green belt, this is a green card.
Exactly.
It's the same thing essentially.
That would be ideal.
Yeah, that is actually a great point, Cam. We always shit, and rightfully so, on the influx of belts in boxing, but hey, this might be a benefit of having so many belts, for people who need citizenship. Just box and you can get any kind of shit belt you want and stay in America as long as you want.
Exactly.
It's not that difficult.
All right, let's move on. Okay, 17th of February, George Groves Eubank Jr. We kind of touched upon it, so
you should touch upon it, Cam. Give us your ski mask kind of rundown of the environment, on the popcorn, the gear, the people around you, the environment, and
the ring card girls.
The ring card girls, of course.
Well, the girls are from, the World Boxing Series. They're always top class anyway, so there's no point talking about them. But now, actually, Lim, I actually want your opinion on the fight. What did you think?
I thought it was entertaining as hell. I thought Eubank was piss poor. I didn't care anything about the fight. The only thing that I'm going to take away from that fight is, like you guys mentioned before, is what's his face, the fat fuck, former boxer, Prince
Naseem Hamed.
Prince Nassim Hamed. It's just his comments. Which camera do I look at? I thought that was gold, man. When he was just talking shit, and then the black guy standing right next to him that kind of looks like him, except he's just darker with glasses on. Yeah, try to interject and try to impede Prince Nassim's comment. And Prince Nassim was just like, "Hey, shut the fuck up, man. Let me burn." I thought that was hilarious. But no, I just thought it was great. And then the World Boxing Super Series, they had a post show, and my favorite clip was when Eubank Jr. was like, I thought I did enough. And then he asked his dad, do you think I won the fight? He was like, no, you didn't. That was just like really, really ice cold what Senior did. But I don't know, man. I like it. I give Eubank props because I think it's so difficult for any son of a boxer of that magnitude to kind of live up to any form of that legacy. But I just think his greatest strength is his greatest flaw as well. It's just his dog-like attitude. I watch videos of him training the Monday after the fight, and I think that's the exact reason why he's not going to ever live up to his potential, is because he's not willing to change his ways and actually work on the technique. He just cares about the I think the conditioning aspect and
the flashiness,
the image, the flash, the throwing the 50 combination punches. But I'm curious to see what Chu has to say, because I know Chu was saying that he might beat Golovkin in the past. So I want to hear what you have to say about this guy. Go on.
Yeah.
Go on.
Aye. All right.
Is that okay?
Right. I'm going to tell you a story. Right. I think a lot of boxing fans got fooled by Eubank. He's like a Nigerian scammer. He's phoning up for your bank details.
Yeah. Like all the...
He's better than British level.
You know they caught that guy recently?
Who?
The Nigerian prince, deposed or whatever. They caught that.
Did he? That's fine.
Yep.
Anyway, go on.
Yeah, I mean, he's better than British level. He's beat Spike O'Sullivan, who's domestic level. He's beat Nick Blackwell, who's domestic level. He's beat European level guys in Yildirim. So you would think the obvious step would be, okay, he's going to be at least competitive against George Groves. Now, I said before, I was picking Eubank. It was a 50-50 fight. I was confident all the way up to the ring walk. And I think Chris Eubank Jr. was confident as well. Then he got into the ring with George Groves, saw the size of him, and he just basically, you know what? He was like, oh no, this guy's a lot bigger than what I thought he was going to be. And I thought the same thing. I was looking at the size difference between the two in the ring. I thought George Groves at the weigh-in looked, it was like death's door.
Yeah.
But in the ring, George Groves was like, never mind 2 weight classes, it was like 3. And he was George Groves was just fighting him like a wee brother fights a big brother. He's just manhandling him. Even on the inside, Chris Eubank's getting up close to him. He's trying to wing away, but he's like, as George Groves says, he's at shots from his ankle. He's trying to get the shots for the ankle, but George Groves was tying him up. George Groves knows jiu-jitsu. I think he's up to blue belt. He does. He's been doing it for years. And he was just tying him up and shit. And even like that's how fun. George Groves dislocated his shoulder. I don't know what happened there. Was it a shot? I don't know. I just think really Chris Eubank Jr. was just getting so frustrated with what George Groves was doing on the inside, never mind what he was doing on the outside. That Groves' jab was sharp. And I was really disappointed in Chris Eubank Jr. Folk like me were looking for a hero. It's like a guy, a boxing fan in the desert. It's like a mirage, we're looking for a drink.
Yeah.
We saw Chris Eubank Jr. and we're thinking it's like an oasis of talent, and it's not. It's just, it was a fraud. And the stuff that Chris Eubank Jr. was saying, before the fight, no wonder people hate him. He was saying that whoever loses this fight is a fraud. Somebody's lying. That's his exact quote. Someone is lying to you. Someone is a fraud. It's almost as if he knew that he was a fraud.
No, but you bring up a really good point about the size, because I've seen Eubank in person, and I know my obsession with the Charlos is getting a little bit frightening, but I've seen Jermell in person too, and Jermell is a bigger guy than Eubank, and he's a junior middleweight. So
Eubank just doesn't have that lion blood, man.
Chu, do you think
That's
he
true.
stays campaigning at 68, or do you think he drops back down to 60?
I wonder if he could get 154.
Nah,
Looking at him.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So
Even
let me ask you guys: do you guys know anything about the rehydration weight on the night of? Did they mention that?
Commentary, I'm not sure. They did say 13 stone something, but I don't know what the conversion is. But they did say, I'll have to go back and I'll let you know.
They typically
Gotcha.
don't do fight night weights in the UK, so.
But my bad, Shu. What were you gonna say?
even Tony Bellew is saying he's not even a big middleweight, he's a medium-sized middleweight.
What the fuck was that?
It was a
Sorry.
good comment.
No, that,
Give me my props, man.
What the fuck?
Cam's about to fight.
You can.
I'll be waiting on that bell all night, man.
Yeah, Jesus. What
Tony
the
Bellew
fuck is
saying that, but he was like a poor man's Roy Jones, with his kind of fucking Captain Hook, leaping left hooks and shit. He was
Poor
fighting
man.
I said a poor man, not a fucking
Even
proper
that's being
imitation of Roy Jones.
That's even that being generous, man.
He was like Ricky Hatton / Roy Jones. He was like Ricky Jones. Poor man. Anyway, I scored the fight. I gave Eubank 3 rounds. I was generous with one of them. I gave Groves the rest. Should have had 2 knockdowns. What do you think, Nicky?
Man, I thought Groves pretty handily beat Eubank. Although, I'm trying to think. If I remember correctly, I think I gave Eubank 3 rounds of that fight. But like as the fight poured on, it was just like class told over time. Eubank, as the fight, as he realized he really couldn't get a beat on Groves, he like got more panicked the entire way through. The cut gave him more panic. It's like it was just constant panic. Like, oh shit, this isn't working. I'm panicking. Oh crap, I'm cut. I'm panicking. Oh shit, he's hitting me with huge right hands and scored 2 knockdowns that didn't get called. I'm panicking. He's just freaking out in there, and he was just completely out of his depth. And the thing is, I thought the commentary went a little bit overboard, talking about how like amazingly like Groves was boxing him. Really, I mean, it was he was just kind of using very basic movements in order to avoid just the wild fucking sweeping swings that Eubank was throwing at him. Man, he was throwing, like I said in the chat section, like Dragon Ball Z fucking punches and shit, like trying to like lunge in from like halfway across the ring in order to land a hook. And I mean, he was just so easily able to be, Groves was just a simple step back, boom, right hand, like like the intro of the coalition or the outro. It was just pretty handy, easy work for Groves, and even with pulling his fucking shoulder, however he injured it, he was able to just beat him just off of kind of fundamental movement alone.
Absolutely. It's almost as if like he didn't even employ a cut man. He doesn't want to pay a trainer. It's almost as if this was a cash out fight, I thought.
No, I think they had
He's-
they had Sanagar in the corner working on the cut, but he didn't really do a good job, I don't think.
Well, I mean, I know they had a guy there working on it, but like you said, he didn't do a good job. I mean, who else could you have got? Is that guy a good cut man?
Yeah, Sanagar, he's a trainer and promoter and manager, but I have seen him mend cuts before, but he didn't look that good when he was doing it, so I'm not sure.
He's no Stitch Duran.
Exactly.
But, the cut or no cut, he was going to get beat. And people are giving him praise for his heart, his determination. I feel as if the things he said, he kind of had no choice but to fight that way. With his heart on his sleeve and stuff. He's doing stuff that we could never do. We need to say that caveat. He's fighting in front of millions and millions. He's clearly got some kind of, intestinal fortitude, but when you put yourself on that kind of pedestal, you're gonna get knocked down. No wonder everyone's kind of ganging up on him.
Yeah.
I feel for him in a way, but I mean, like a couple of days later, he's on his Twitter, he's on his Instagram, and he's just doing that kind of 90 punch thing he's doing on the fucking dummy again, and he's doing that thing on the mitts again where he's not really learning anything. He's not going to learn his lesson. He is who he is. We should probably just forget about him now.
Yeah, he's like he's like that friend that you have that keeps you in trouble with the police and never learns a lesson, then gets in trouble again. It's like, well, fucking hell, man, learn from your mistakes.
He's like Chavez Jr.
Exactly. But
I'll look back. See if someone really wanted to have fun, they could look back on all the things I said about Chris Eubank Jr. over the years, man. I was fooled big time. I'm actually just cringing thinking about it, bro.
It's all good, Chew. We still love you. We won't hold that against you.
But, I mean, it just goes to show you like how things change quickly in boxing. Like even like Verdejo, you're just talking about Verdejo, and he was like the top prospect a few years ago, and as was the Cuban,
Darrell.
as was Darrell, as was the wee Cuban guy who Crawford beat.
Gamboa.
I mean, all these guys are like hot for a minute and then they're gone.
We'll talk about Broner.
Bronner, yeah. So many guys. It's just such a Game of Thrones boxing.
Thurman as well hasn't really turned out how we wanted to. It was amazing, like how, you know, that conversation with Paulie, you better not duck me, son. And then a couple of weeks ago on Showtime, like,
we burn money.
They were asking him like, "Oh, what about next? Oh, and I'm not gonna fight, you know, Danny or Sean after my first back fight." After the injury on the elbow, I need to fight an easier touch, and it's crazy, man. Like, that's why I like Spence. He just calls out everybody. He don't care. He wants to fight anybody. But
yeah,
all
Thurman is Thurman's a success story compared to some of these other fools that we're talking about.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, they're not even comparable, right? He has 2 major belts. He proved his worth. These other guys, man, they're just epic failures.
No, that's fair. But you know, Broner, even though some of the belts were a bit suspect, he was multiple weight champion. So, anyone else regarding the Eubank Groves?
No.
While we're on the Super Series, just quickly, Smith versus Bramer. Obviously, Bramer pulled out. I think he had a flu or some shit. Late substitute, who was, I think, the standby, Nicky Holskin. He was on the undercard apparently against Chudinov, so he got pulled and put into the main event. But pretty average fight. I think Smith just played it safe. He wanted to do enough just to win. He said that in his post-fights. That's how it looked in reality during the fight. He was just doing enough to get by. It looked bad at parts because you were kind of getting walked down by this kind of unknown dude.
World-class kickboxer, world champion.
But still former. I mean, he was a good kickboxer years ago. He's a past prime kickboxer fighting in boxing now. That was smaller than Smith. That really had no right to be walking him down and hitting him with as many shots as he did.
Yeah,
I was really impressed by the guy's style. I thought.
I was impressed by him.
I'm
saying Smith. If you're like a true top pro, like you shouldn't be having troubles with a fight of a wholesome book.
You guys ever heard the 52 blocks?
The movie?
Nah. No. It's a style of fighting, so it's like prison.
Oh yeah. I know
prison boxing.
Yeah.
And this guy, this kickboxer, I thought kind of utilizes that. He's blocking with everything. You know, he's got the kind of Muay Thai guard kind of thing, but he's blocking with his elbows, and he throws a right hand like. I'm not saying this is 52 blocks the way he throws a right hand, but it's kind of like it's like a straight looping shot over the guard. I thought he was like landing on Callum Smith quite regularly. I was like, you know, if this guy can land that on you, then George Groves is just going to knock you out. And I was picking Callum Smith to beat Groves before it all happened. Now, on the basis of what I saw in those 2 fights. You know, I would pick Groves to win. But then again, I would pick who's the guy to beat Groves, so it doesn't really matter.
All right, let's move on quickly. It was nice to see Danny Garcia struggle with Brandon Rios for a few rounds. Obviously, you guys know I'm a hater of Garcia, but it was funny him getting touched up by a pretty shot fighter. But anyone want to mention it?
Yeah, that Rios face when he got knocked out is one of the most memorable.
It did look like he got shot.
In boxing.
Yeah, that was a KO of the year contender, man. That shit was ugly. That was just a great shot. Fucking Rios got leaned back, but Rios was giving him a shit ton of trouble up until that point. A lot of issues on the inside.
Yeah.
Dan Garcia's just a terrible, terrible inside fighter. Awful. fucking awful. You know what I mean? But the thing is, there's really not many welterweights that are that good in that style of fighting, other than maybe a Spence. But yeah, Garcia, he'll be able to get away with it, as long as he's fighting most of these other guys. Him versus Porter's an interesting fight, though, at the very least, because I think they kind of their weaknesses play into each other's strengths. So I think that's a really interesting fight.
I think Porter mauled him to death, to be honest. I think that's why he was in the ring there, like causing antics. I think he knows.
Hater, bro.
I think he knows that
you
he'll be
hate
just.
I mean, he could, but he walked headlong into some of those looping shots that Granados,
exactly,
threw at him, had him holding on for dear life in the last 2 rounds of that fight.
No, I agree.
Garcia hits harder than Granados.
No, I agree.
Even
but
if he doesn't have the reach.
In that fight, I actually said, in the review show that it was amazing to see someone out Sean Porter. But Danny Garcia's not going to do that. Like, he feels when anyone's on the inside, he's so uncomfortable. He just looks to grab hold so quickly.
No, but when Porter's on the outside trying to lunge into the inside, that's where Garcia can catch him. That's where Granados caught him a number of times too.
Oh, that's a good point.
That's where Broner caught him. That's where Broner caught him in the last round of their fight.
Yeah.
Cam just hates Danny.
Yeah.
Like, it's so apparent. I don't know what Danny did, but.
Anyone else regarding this fight? Did you see it, Chu?
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, I thought Brandon Rios done a good job. I thought the knock. He was taking those kind of shots all the way through the fight. The knockout was unexpected. I was really surprised. But when it happened, it was just like, I've never seen Brandon Rios get knocked down like that. I mean, you should retire. You should have retired a while ago. But if he's going to retire, fight Victor Ortiz first.
Yeah. You know what we need, Cam? We need another World Super Series between Victor Ortiz, Kell Brook, Amir Khan, and Brandon Rios. That'd be amazing.
2010 version.
Yeah, just the most washed fighters. No, the present version.
No, I mean, why not?
It'd be like Bellator for boxing.
Naota, when I said anyone else, I think you were going to say something. I don't know if it was related to this fight.
I lost it.
Quickly, just Benavidez Gavril. So the first fight, I didn't really see it properly. I know I was in the States with Lim and Chemo, and it was the day before Superfly 1. I never really got around to watching it when I came back. I watched it this week before I watched. I didn't really watch the Danny Garcia card straight away. I watched it like a week and a half later. So I did watch the first one throughout, and I was really impressed with Gavril, man. He just looked so comfortable in the pocket. He would kind of like slip punches, block punches, really tight guard, really kind of compact style. And I was surprised how much success he had against Benavidez in the first match. After maybe the 6th round, it looked like Benavidez had like started to fade a bit. I actually had. I think I had it a draw. No, I had Gavril winning by 1 point because of the knockdown in the last round. It was a bit of a flash knockdown. He got caught as he was stepping in, and he just lost his footing, went down. That was in the first fight. Second fight was completely different, man. Benavidez much more confident. His stamina was better throughout. I think they said in the first fight he was suffering from a cold the week of the fight, so no flu for him in the second fight. Much more confident. Gavril didn't really offer much, man. He just took a slow beating. Yeah, complete chalk and cheese compared to the first.
Yeah.
But anyone else?
I mean, I thought the first fight, I said it afterwards, I said it during the fight. I thought that basically it was a case of Benavidez didn't train. I don't think he trained properly for that first fight. I think you could see it in his body, at the weigh-in, in the fight itself, and in how he fought, in how he gassed out in the back half of it. I think he started believing his own hype. He has all these memes and shit and like YouTube videos and highlight reels and shit. And he's a young guy. He's the youngest champ in boxing. He's only 21 now. And, I think he started believing his own hype. So he didn't train properly for Gavril, thinking, I'm just going to knock this guy out. Went in there, had a tougher fight than expected. Trained properly for the second fight because he knew what he was up against. And he just beat Gavril's ass. It was a one-sided beatdown. He just beat him up, looked close to stopping him on a couple of different occasions. Gavril showed his toughness, his grit, his skill as well to be able to, survive the tough moments and come back, with a couple of good shots and a couple of good moments of his own. But overall, it was a pretty clear and handy decision for Benavidez, showing once again just how dangerous he is. And even if he may not necessarily be the most consistent at super middleweight, I think at his peak he's the best super middleweight in the world.
What about my boy Caleb Plant versus Porky Medina? Did you guys watch that fight?
Yeah, I saw it. Medina looked extremely shop worn. Looked like he's whatever he had left in terms of a competitive opponent was taken out of him by Benavidez. But I mean, props to Plant for just putting it to work, schooling.
Preach. No, I appreciate that, bro.
Plant's jab is excellent. I do agree with the commentary team. I think there was something up with his knee, man. With Medina's knee, because he just wasn't really moving right. He wasn't really pivoting off it. But you can't take that away from Caleb. The only thing I would say, Lim, your boy is a bit safety. He's a bit safety first, man. Like
a bit.
Too safety
terrible,
first.
Man. It's terrible, and the thing is, like, I really like Caleb, and what he does on like Instagram and shit. Like he's only doing that so he can get fights. Like he's actually really kind of like reserved and very kind of I think aware in terms of like where his positioning is. But I mean, Jesus Christ! I mean, if Medina's in that position, man, you got to go for the kill, dude. Like even Floyd wasn't that hesitant to get rid of his opponents when they were that far outclassed. So I don't know, man. Caleb is just like super athletic. He's got all the skills in the world, but you got to be more aggressive and actually engage your opponent to get the fans on your side. He's not going to get these fights if he keeps fighting like that. And plus, nobody's going to want to fight him. It's a high risk, low reward fight at this point. So I don't know. I'm always going to root for the guy, but he needs to be a lot more aggressive against guys of that caliber.
Yeah. And lastly, that card was on the El Paso, Texas card. So I think Fox went live, and then shortly after, Showtime went live with Danny Garcia. But the headline at the El Paso card was Alexander and Ortiz, and I did watch the fight. I was
dog shit fight.
But the thing is, Nikki, I don't understand the scoring, because I thought Alexander won quite comfortably, like 3, maximum 4. I don't think you can give Ortiz 4 rounds, more than 4 rounds. And then 2 of the judges had it a draw, 114, and I think the third judge actually had it for Ortiz. So none of the 3 had Alexander winning, and I was dumbstruck. I was like, how has this happened? Like, what were they watching? Okay, Ortiz was the guy coming forward, but he offered nothing. It wasn't constructive what he was doing. He was coming forward, he's throwing shots, they were getting blocked, and he was getting countered. It was crazy, man. It was really poor decision for me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to play devil's advocate, I mean, Alexander was really passive in the later rounds of that fight too, where I guess maybe that's where the judges saw him coming back into it. But I generally agree, though. Alexander should have won the fight. It was a waste of time to begin with. It's a shitty fight between 2 extremely shop-worn fighters who neither of them have any chance against anybody at the top. And I don't want to hear all these people all of a sudden becoming fucking Devin Alexander fanboys talking about I guess he earned a shot at Keith. No, he didn't earn a shot at any fucking body. All right, this is the guy that quit a decade ago against fucking Timothy Bradley. So get out of here with that bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think those are like 2 people total. So don't get too fired up about something.
Chu, did you see this?
No, I don't.
No problem.
I don't think I missed anything.
Yeah, no, I think we've talked about it for too long.
If anybody of any significance fights either of these guys in the next fight, fuck you.
It's come on. Yeah.
I still think, even though Alexander should have got a decision from what I'm hearing and read, Ortiz has got the higher. I don't know. He could just be matched better. Love him or love him, Alexander doesn't really excite anyone. Whereas, like I've said before, Ortiz does. Because you never know what you're going to get with Ortiz. He could quit. He could headbutt you. He could do all this kind of weird stuff.
Yeah, but that's like a shit reason to what someone like. You don't know how they're going to turn out. It's like, well,
Mike Tyson made a fucking career on it
that's fair.
On his last run. His last couple of years, you weren't really watching Mike Tyson for the skill set anymore. You're just watching for what's he going to do. And Ortiz is kind of turned into that. See what you want. Now that his skills are declining, he's starting to show that heart that he maybe could have had previously. Both these guys, I mean, it's just a shocking summarization of boxing that these guys should have fought like maybe 5 years ago. Now they're fighting, and you expect us to care? Nah, not really.
Yep. All right.
I feel for Alexander. I do.
Let's move on. Lim, you were in the house on February 24th at the Inglewood Forum. Superfly 2 headline. I think you only saw the headline fight. Sisruket, so Rungvisai versus Juan Francisco Estrada. What do you think, Lim? Limmy. All right, Naota, what did you think?
Oh no, my bad, Cam.
Oh, go ahead.
It was a great fight. I got there a little bit late, but I still caught the whole card. The whole fight. And I agree with you, Cam. What you said earlier about Rungvisai being basic. He is, but he is a tough son of a bitch. And I was wrong. I think I was a little bit too critical of Estrada based on his performance against Quadras, because I thought Estrada did really well. Especially his willingness just to go for it in the 12th round was incredible. I thought that was round of the year by far. And it was just a really, really awesome fight, man. I think it was better than Superfly 1, just because of that fight in and of itself. That fight was fantastic. So I'm really, really, really hopeful that they do a Superfly 3 with a rematch, possibly. I want to see Nietes again. I want to see that Japanese guy that was at the fight. And I just think there's a lot of really great fights to be made at that weight class. It reminds me a lot of 175, just in terms of the top guys being able to fight one another. I think that should be the next Super Series, 115 and 175. That was great.
Which Japanese guy are you referring to?
I forget. It was a tan Japanese dude that everyone was hyping up. I'm not quite sure who it was. It was a guy who has like a bunch of knockouts or whatever, but I think Loeffler flew him in there just to kind of hype him up and get him there for a Superfly 3. I don't know who it is, though.
Naota, we were kind of talking off air before the show started about bits of this, but what did you think of it? How did you score it? Nicky
Jam. Osuna.
All right.
Sorry about that. I'm back.
Go
on. What was the question, Cam?
What did you think of Estrada versus Rungvisai, and how did you score it?
Yeah, I scored it 7-5 for Estrada. I thought he edged it. I do think that to me it was either way type of fight. I don't complain with anybody having Srisaket up in the fight. I think that it was close. It was competitive. I thought that they missed a knockdown in the 5th round. Estrada hit him with a clean left hook. Srisaket went down. It should have been called a knockdown. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, all 3 judges scored that round for Srisaket. So that's a 3-point swing for him. That would have won him the fight, incidentally, but he didn't get it. But he went ham in that last round. Srisaket, I don't think he's as basic as you guys kind of allude to, though. I think that he's a little bit tricky than he would get given credit for. I think I could see how it can kind of look basic, especially with regards to the fact that he's largely, kind of marching forward, taking shots, and, swinging pretty wide a lot of the times. But just the punch variety that he has, or the variety with his shots, the variety of angle that he can throw at, is really what makes him dangerous, as well as the fact that, his movement is so awkward and herky-jerky and everything. He can be really awkward to try to time, as well as to be able to avoid what he's throwing at you in the midst of it.
No, I see your point. He's effective at what he does. I just think that he's kind of one-paced, and basic sounds really harsh, but when a guy's just throwing like a southpaw, left hand, right hook, left hook, right, and that's all he's really got, to me, it's lacking something a bit when he's not really doing anything behind the jab. I think that's why Estrada was catching him so easy with that counter left hook, because he was just coming forward, lunging in with the backhand and then getting caught. I personally had it a draw, but I usually have fights a draw these days. But I don't.
Such a hater. You just don't like us East Asians.
Yeah, man.
That's what it is.
That is true, but to Lim's point, I don't know about a rematch. I'd rather see both guys kind of go in a different direction again. Maybe Estrada have a bit of a tune-up, because he's kind of had 2 kind of hard fights since he came back. The Quadras fight was kind of hard, and now he's just fought Rungvisai. Yeah. So there's a lot of mixing and matching that can happen.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily mind seeing it either. I do know that Estrada was wanting, more money for a rematch because of the fact that he just feels like they're being underpaid. And I guess he saw that Rios got paid actually more for his fight against Garcia than all of them combined on the card put together, on the Superfly card. So I'm sure he was a little bit offended at that. But it seems like they're working on the immediate rematch, as it were. But even if they didn't do it, like you kind of said, I wouldn't mind seeing it. I wouldn't mind seeing Estrada go take one of the belts off of a Yafai or a Kas if he could actually get out of those guys in the ring, and then have Srisa Kid fight Arroyo, for instance. Arroyo did a fantastic job in kind of technically outboxing and leading Carlos Cuadras into his type of fight, as opposed to Cuadras being able to outbox him with his speed. So I think that would be a good fight as well. It just kind of proves the card as a whole. Yeah, well, I mean, everybody does. Everybody does.
I want to see that. I want to see that yellow versus yellow crime now.
He may not get it, unfortunately. Anyway, it's looking like he's going to be fighting Jamie McDonnell for McDonnell's WBA bantamweight belt.
But it's be a beautiful watch.
Jamie McDonnell is the real Matrix. Andre Dirrells gave up that mantle, and I think the McDonnell brothers have collectively got that.
I agree. I could see Jamie going over there causing, in a way, issues, man, just with that length and boxing ability. But Naoto, you
Doncaster Matrix.
I think the Doncaster De La Hoya, man, for Dave
Dude,
Allen
it's crazy. I've been on this show for like 4 years, and then I know you guys have discussed Jamie McDonnell in the past, but I always thought Jamie McDonnell was a 140-pounder.
Well, it just shows how much of a casual you are.
Exactly.
Oh, you know what? African Shah asked a question in the chat. I wanted to answer it real quick. How did Rung Visai go from his birth name to his current fighting name? Most Thais, they don't really hold too strongly to their names because most of them didn't even have last names like 1912, something like that. They just went by first names. But usually they'll go by whoever promotes them, as well as like a portmanteau of whoever promotes them or whoever the biggest sponsor is or what gym they fight out of, along with their hometown. So Sri Saket is literally from Si Saket, Thailand. So that's how he got the name Sri Saket. And so Rung Visai is basically meaning of the Rung Visai gym or of the Rung Visai promotion stable.
I love Rung Visai's story. I just want him to keep winning fights and making money. I think it's really awesome what he's doing, and I thought that picture of his mom waiting for him at the airport with his favorite meal, the fried grilled rat, that was fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, man. Hey, no positive tests there. No positive tests.
I've had rat before in Vietnam. It's not that bad actually, so it's pretty good.
Naoto, you touched upon Arroyo and Cuadras. I thought that was a really good fight. I thought Cuadras beat Gonzalez. I thought he gave Estrada a run for his money. But I know he looked a bit flat on that particular weekend. He didn't move as much as he's moved in previous fights, and Arroyo was always kind of first to the punch. He was always getting off first and landing first, and I thought Arroyo performed excellent after his bit of a hiatus that he's had.
Yeah, very long hiatus. I think it was a combination of a few different things. I think Cuadras going with Abel Sanchez was an extremely big mistake and a terrible decision for him. He's not an inside, brawl you out, beat you down Golovkin type of fighter. He's a guy that really belongs to somebody that'll utilize all the movement and the speed that he has. Arroyo is a very technically brilliant boxer, a guy that won a number of different amateur titles, world titles and things of that nature, Pan Ams and stuff like that. And so, he's really a technically skilled boxer. He was able to kind of just high guard, walk Cuadras down. And I think the fact that he rocked Cuadras in the first round with that big right hand, it kind of drew Cuadras into the type of fight that he really shouldn't have fought earlier than he would have. It's almost like Cuadras didn't really quite have his rhythm together yet to really start boxing and moving. And then he rocked Arroyo back in the next round with a left hook and everything. And so then at that point, it was almost like, I'm just going to try and hit him with another one of those and try to finish him off after the fact. But it didn't work out for him. I thought it was a pretty close fight, but still, because Arroyo, it seemed like was starting to tire out a little bit late and Cuadras was coming on a bit. But it was too late, especially in a 10-round fight. And Arroyo did a great job. And like I was getting to, I think really the card as a whole kind of just shows how great of a fighter that Roman Gonzalez was, because he fought all four of the main guys on the card and went 3-2 against them.
Yeah. Chu, did you watch any of these?
What do you think?
No.
I'll tell you what.
You're
I'll tell you what. Bro. This is what I think of that card. That's what I think.
Yeah, I could tell because that same noise came out from your microphone about 5 minutes ago. I thought you were making some campfire, but I don't want to intervene.
Shut the door on the Superfly card.
It's a real shame that you missed pretty much half of some of the most talented pound for pound boxers in the sport. Real shame.
Yeah, these are baby lions. True. If you want to be part of the lion only group, you got to support all lions.
They're complaining that they're not getting paid as much as Brandon Rios. Brandon Rios has these guys for dinner.
Yeah, Brandon Rios is also a bum compared to these guys.
I agree. I'm trolling. The guys are super talented.
Yo,
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't motivated to watch them.
No, to quickly before we move on, Nietes fight. I don't know, like commentary team and Lampley, Kellerman, and Ward. I don't know. I think they were overemphasizing like the amount of skill that was on display from Donnie Eds. I know he's a very skillful dude, but it was a bit boring up until the stoppage. I think he was kind of just doing enough, which he didn't need to do anymore because Reveco wasn't offering much. But I don't know. I think they were talking a bit of shit.
Yeah, I mean, it was still a very good performance, though. Reveco is a former world champion himself, really good fighter that only had his other defeats to, Kazuto Ioka, who himself was a 3-weight champion like Nietes. But Nietes was able to beat him more handily than Ioka did, was able to stop him more impressively, although it was just kind of a one-shot out of nowhere type deal after kind of thoroughly outboxing him as opposed to what Ioka did, which was like kind of slowly beat him down. But Nietes is a really good fighter, man. And, they're already talking about Nietes potentially moving up to 115 and possibly fighting Roman Gonzalez for the vacant WBO super flyweight belt that formerly belonged to Naoya Inoue. So he could play very well in the near future here. And it looks like, I'm sure that fight will happen now, even though Nietes' team didn't want it twice over the last, 8 years, the couple of times that it was that it could have happened earlier. And I think at the very least with them, it's a kind of a better late than never type situation, because I do still think that Gonzalez has enough to potentially beat Nietes. But it's a tough fight. It's a good fight. It's a close fight as far as I'm concerned. Nietes is a very good fighter, but the HBO commentary was overblowing it. I think they were just trying to sell it so hard and stuff, because people really didn't know who Nietes was, which is unfortunate because Nietes has been a champion for a number of years, but, that's just what it is.
And Ski Mask Joe was in the crowd booing, so they had to make up that. Why are you booing? This is very high level of skill on offer here. But, I always find it concerning when people put, like, numericals after their tagline, so Superfly 1, Superfly 2. Like, you know what's going to happen? Like, in 7 years, we'll have, like, Superfly 15, and it'll be just, like, a bunch of bums, so... I hope they don't go. I hope they don't.
A bunch of bums.
Well,
yep.
Well, it reminds me of like what like Top Rank did with like the Pinoy Pride cards and all that shit.
Pinoy Pride 72.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what's happened though. I mean, just shout out to the guys in the chat. Shams 1000 basically saying that HBO doesn't want to pay that money anymore. So, I mean, the Superfly card wouldn't even have made Telefortuna probably 10 years ago. This is just what they're prepared to pay now.
Yeah.
I'm not saying these guys don't deserve it, because they're highly skilled guys and everybody wants to see highly skilled guys get paid, but HBO don't. It's a shame.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a big part of the reason why, like, even in the main event with Streets Kid and Estrada, they were kind of jocking Streets Kid pretty hard, and trying to almost like ignore Estrada unlike the way that they kind of ignored him as Gonzalez was, running through people, and whenever asked about the potential opponents for him, Estrada's name never came up once.
But are these guys really better than like Vic Darchinyan back in the day? Or
much?
You think so?
Yeah.
Or like Nonito back in the day?
Technically, way better.
You think so?
Estrada definitely.
Now to hate on Nonito, so
Estrada definitely. Streets of Cat, I think, is just a slight level above. I'd put Nonito and Darchinyan over. I put them over Nietes as a flyweight, but not over Nietes pound for pound.
All right, let me.
All right. Yeah, okay. Let's move
Yeah,
on.
let me. No, I'm not trying to cut the
thanks.
conversation for the sake of the conversation. Only because I know I'm quite looking at the time, and we still got a lot to cover. So, Monday today, obviously, some news got announced earlier. Canelo tests positive for clenbuterol ahead of Golovkin fight, saying that there's traces found in his voluntary testing of clenbuterol. I don't really give a shit. I do actually think it is from tainted meat, but as a conversation I was having with Naota before the show is, it's easy now, I think, going forward for people to kind of use that as an excuse, even if they are trying to flush it out. I think what's going to have to happen is, I think they're going to have to get more strict with it or some shit. Or with Canelo, I think if you know that the meat you are getting may have traces of stuff in it, you're just going to have to get your meat imported or some shit, man. I don't think it's a viable excuse, but what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm inclined to agree. The excuse can be valid in a lot of instances, and it has been in the past. Canelo especially is the last person that would really have that excuse available to him, considering the guy's a fucking multimillionaire. And he can have his choice of food, source of wherever it comes from. And, but I mean, even with that though, like regardless of him testing positive, I seen the follow-up story on it. It seems like, Loeffler and Team Golovkin don't give a shit. They're going to let the Nevada State Athletic Commission handle it. The Nevada State Athletic Commission doesn't give a fuck because they don't have anything to do with VADA. So VADA finding them testing positive has absolutely nothing to do with the NSAC official testing, which is exactly what that is the official test of the night of the fight. So the fight's going to be on, and it's going to stay on, regardless of whatever else comes out about Canelo.
Can I just play devil's advocate? Would you ever have said Canelo was on drugs prior to this?
I think he's definitely somebody that could be thought of as a very high suspect amongst fighters in general.
Like the majority of boxers. I honestly don't give a fuck. But please, what was the point of the question, Chu?
I'm saying everyone's like, oh, he's juicing now. It's so obvious. I could never have, told he was on drugs. I'm reading the Golden Boy statement right now, and I believe him. I believe he did eat some contaminated meat. And, if you're going to juice, then I'm sure he could get better drugs than clenbuterol.
Well, clenbuterol is a very, very potent, weight-cutting substance.
I was going to mention that. I mean, as a Canelo fanboy, I can't win in this discussion. I just want the fight to happen.
You want the fight?
I think I want the fight because for me, I've always defended. I haven't defended drug use, obviously, but I'm not as critical of it as other people are, like people like Victor Conti. At the end of the day, I just want to see the fight happen. And I'm glad that Loeffler and Triple G are willing to go ahead with the fight. So, and to tell you the truth, man, like, wasn't there the thing now too with the Mexican national junior team, like them all testing for clenbuterol?
Yeah, but not just them, but like a bunch of international teams that weren't even from Mexico that happened to be, staying there for a tournament, wound up testing positive for the same shit because they ate in Mexico, so they ate the contaminated stuff. So
okay.
See this Golden Boy statement. Can I just read out a wee bit to you?
Go ahead.
Go for it.
Because, I mean, listen, as part of the voluntary testing program that Canelo Alvarez insisted on it ahead of his May 5th fight, one of his results came back positive for trace levels of clenbuterol, trace consistent with meat contamination that has impacted dozens of athletes in Mexico over the last years.
Right, just like me and Nato alluded to.
I mean, I don't think he's a cheat. I think it's just a mix-up.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm speaking for you guys, but I'm just glad the fight's taking place still.
You just want the fight?
I just want the fight.
All right. Anyone else regarding this topic?
Nope.
All right. Omar Figueroa pulled out of his proposed fight with Adrian Broner earlier in the week. Jesse Vargas has stepped in at a catchweight of 144. I think the original fight was at 140. What do you think of the fight, Lim?
I I think it's
Better fight than the original.
no, I was gonna say that, Cam, but I actually think Omar versus Broner is a very fun fight in and of itself. But I think this is just kind of at the same level, or maybe a little bit lower, just because I don't know what the conditioning of Vargas is going to be like. I know Vargas is a guy who's always in the gym and who's always in shape, and he's not a big welterweight. So I think Vargas should be fighting at 140, but he moved up to 47 because there are bigger fights there. I think it's going to be a really fun fight. I think I would favor Vargas to win this fight. But I think people are overblowing Vargas as well. I mean, he hasn't been all that impressive at welterweight. He had one good moment against Tim Bradley in the 12th round. He lost a pretty obvious decision against Pacquiao. So I think it's a good fight. I'd pick Vargas to win as of right now due to activity, but I think it's a really fun fight to watch. And I give props to Broner. I know he's really easy to hate. He just recently got a misdemeanor for grabbing a girl by the pussy at a public mall in the States. But he's willing to fight on short notice against a pretty dangerous level guy. So props to Broner for saving.
Chu, what do you think?
Broner Vargas.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got Vargas. I mean, he's just too busy. I don't think Broner's really. When was the last fight that Broner won? Big fight?
It's been a long time.
Oh, Mikey Garcia?
No, big fight he won.
No win.
Oh, my bad.
I mean,
Manuel Taylor,
won.
I guess?
He's won, but are those big fights? Probably not. I mean, he beat Ashley Theophane, who's a beast, but that was a long time ago.
So I mean, no one can remember any kind of notable win that AB is. Even in the last 5 years.
Yeah, but the same can be said about Vargas too, though.
Nah, I think Saddam Ali was a good win.
Yeah, that was a very good
Oh, I forgot about that win, actually. Yeah, that is true. His win against Ali is better than anything that AB has done in the past 2 years. I agree.
To me, this is like two guys who shouldn't be in that weight division. I mean, Vargas should probably. He's got more of an argument of being in that weight division than Broner. You should be at least a division down. I think maybe Broner's dedicated himself to the sport if I'm going by social media, but
we said that like 15 times in his career, bro.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's a false dawn. I mean, he's how he keeps getting second chances, third chances is just incredible.
This is like a sixth chance, true.
Naota, what do you think?
It's unfortunate, man, because I was really looking forward to Broner versus Figueroa because just the style of fight, the clash of styles between the two of them. Figueroa is a guy that presses the issue constantly. So that would have been a fun fight either way. Broner either would have got knocked out spectacularly or he would have teed off. Honestly, I think there would have been a lot of great exchanges there between the two of them. With Vargas, honestly, I think Vargas is really just going to kind of outbox Broner from the outside the whole way. Broner may get a little bit frustrated, may kind of lunge in and get clipped. But I don't know. This kind of has kind of lackluster, clear decision for Vargas written all over it from where I stand. Broner definitely stands a good shot against him. I mean, just so far as talent's concerned, but not anything higher than maybe like a 30% or something like that. I think Vargas really should clearly be favored in the fight.
I'm just glad this card got saved. I'm just glad this card got saved because, as you guys all know, Jamal Charlo versus Hugo Centeno got rescheduled to be on this undercard. So I'm just thankful, and I'm just counting my prayers that I still get to see my lion in the cage on that night. So
is he going to be let out of the cage, though? That's the question.
Yeah, he'll beat Hugo, and then he'll fight Danny Jacobs in his next fight.
Okay.
Lines only.
All right, guys.
Kittens only.
Any news or any fights that have been made that you want to discuss before we just go into some of the previews?
Well, like Lim just mentioned, Charles Centennial's on that card, as well as Gervonta Davis versus Cuellar, Jesus Cuellar. It's a good fight.
That was a TBA last time, so what have they announced him as the opponent?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a good fight. Cuellar is a guy that was struggling like hell to make 126. So, I mean, really, these are two guys about the same size, about the same height, about the same, level of build between the two of them. Cuellar is a dangerous puncher. Davis is a big puncher. I think it'll be a fun fight between the two of them. I favor Davis to win it because I think he's just that tad bit quicker that'll lead him to catching Cuellar before Cuellar catches him. But Cuellar still looms as really dangerous.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
I seen that Jose Uzcategui guy. He's willing to replace George Groves in the World Boxing Super Series final. I think he should. I think that would be an absolute annihilation. Uzcategui, Callum Smith. I think Uzcategui could be the worst thing that's happened to Liverpool since Yoko Ono. I definitely see that as a bad styles matchup for Callum Smith.
Yeah,
I'd like to see it though.
But how would that work out? Would the winner of that fight, presumably Uzcategui, would he fight George Groves then?
No, I think he would just be the champion, but they would probably look to make that fight later down the line.
Yeah, they probably if they even allowed him to be the replacement, they probably have him sign a clause that said you have to fight, or the winner has to fight Groves next.
Yeah.
Am I right in saying the winner's got an £8 million reward?
Mm-hmm.
That's why.
No wonder he's volunteering.
That'd be unfair if he got 8 mil though. Like he'd have to get subtraction from that because
he didn't have to beat Jean-Claude Van Damme in the semi.
Kickboxer.
Yeah, that's true.
or Chris, you might.
You break my record. Now I break your neck like I break your friend.
Anything else, Lim? You want to mention anything that you've seen or what's going on in the gyms, Lim? I know you're in the gyms. You got any information for us? Any inside? Oh, Lim's fell asleep. All right, shall we move on
What?
to?
No. What did you say?
Have you got any inside information of what's going on in the LA gyms or the Houston gyms?
No, man. I was in, just to let my boy Chu know, I was in Houston this past week. So I was in the Lions Den, training with the Charlo Bros.
Is he okay though?
Did Jamal successfully get his drawers changed after he shit himself, getting run into by Daniel Jacobs?
Yeah, I seen that.
No, I met him. I met the two brothers before they flew out to New York. So I don't know what the current status is, but my boy Jamal had a rough weekend. He had that little run up with Danny Jacobs, and then he had $150,000 stolen from him at a nightclub in Jay-Z by some hood rats.
But he ain't making the
It
memes.
hasn't been a very productive week.
He ain't making the memes like Jacobs is. So I mean, that's a big loss.
Yeah. So the Charlo Bros have gone through some difficulties, but I know they'll bounce back because they're Lions. Yeah, that's pretty much it, Cam.
That brand is.
I met Scott. I saw Scott Quagg today, and
at the Wildcard.
Super excited about the Valdez fight.
Is he looking confident?
He's looking really skinny, like drained already, which is pretty scary. But he's a big dude at that weight class.
Well, that's the first fight I want to go into for the preview. So that's this Saturday ESPN, him versus Oscar Valdez. What do you think, Lim?
I think it's a really awesome fight. I think it's the fight that I'm looking forward to the most of the fights that are taking place this Saturday. And I'm giving Scott a chance because even though he's basic as hell, I think Valdez is the type of guy who gets lured into those kind of firefights, which plays right into Scott Quiggs' hands, even though he doesn't throw them that often. But however, I think Scott, to worry about is just his jaw. Like I'm always really trepidatious about fighters who have broken their jaws in the past. And I could just see Valdez clipping him with one of those huge left hands that he always throws at the end of his combinations that could just stop the fight at any given moment. So I'm picking Valdez by stoppage in the later rounds, but I think it's going to be a really fun fight while it lasts.
Yeah, true. I'm really looking forward to this as well. It's a fight that when it got announced, I just thought on paper it should be a really fun fight where both guys are just throwing big power shots. But what do you think, Chu?
Yeah, I'm just looking at Scott Quiggs' box rec. I'll be honest with you, I've not really paid attention to him since Cal Frampton fight.
He didn't miss much.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking at his record here. It's Jose Kitano, Vorio, Simeon. Oh, like I've never heard of these guys. But I've been paying attention to Freddie Roach. What he's been saying, he's good for a quote. He's basically saying that Scott Quinn's going to knock him out. He's too big for Oscar Valdez. I remember who's that Welsh boxer, Lee Selby. You know that documentary that Lee Selby had, the BBC one.
Oh, when he went and sparred with Oscar.
Yeah, and he came out of the gym. It's like you didn't get to see the spar, but you got to see Lee Selby go into the gym, and then you got to see him come out again with a big black eye and stuff.
Looking depressed.
Looking depressed. The BBC guy was like, "How'd that go?" I was like, "Oh, okay." It was like, you got handed. You got your ass handed to you, and I think that's going to happen to Scott Quigg. I know they're different fighters, but what does Scott Quigg do? He's a good body puncher. He's physical. He's big at the weight class, but so is Valdez. I don't think Scott Quigg's going to bully Valdez. I don't think he's more technical than Valdez. I just think that everything Scott Quigg can do, Valdez can do better, and then some. Plus put into the fact that Scott Quigg's fighting in America. Valdez is used to that. The Freddie Roach element is interesting, but let's be honest with you, Freddie Roach is shot as a trainer. He may come up with a good game plan.
How dare you?
Don't punch his built here, man. He's shot as a trainer. He can barely hold the mitts. He can barely speak.
Wow, that's a low blow, dude.
Oh, listen, I don't mean it as offensive in any way. Everyone knows it.
He's not doing a Brandon Rios, Antonio Margarito, Freddie Roach impression or anything.
Exactly.
I mean, that was 10 years ago.
MB2 would fit perfect.
He's not getting any younger. He's not Benjamin Button here.
True, you should just move to Oxnard, California, just get a job at the Robert Garcia gym.
No, man, I'll take you like six packs.
Reporting.
I'll probably ask better questions as well. But the thing is, like, that Freddie Roach thing it's not important anymore. I didn't even know he left
Tesco Joe.
What's his name? Yeah, Tesco. I didn't even know that. And then,
I agree with you. Freddie's gym is looking really dire right now. I mean, he doesn't have really any high-level fighters. They're all up-and-coming prospects or kind of shop-on guys like Scott Quigg.
Who's his best name that he's got in his ranks right now?
Jesus. No, I mean, I don't know if you heard about Manny, but they're saying that Manny's not training with Freddie for his last fight, or for his next fight, rather.
Who's he training with?
Boo Boy.
And that's a sad end to a Hall of Fame career. In all fairness, man.
Yeah.
But this is both. This is. Am I being melodramatic in saying this is his last shot at the big time, Freddie Roach? What? I mean, if Scott Quigg wins, Freddie Roach is going to get all the credit, whether he's deserving of it or not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about last shot at the big time, but I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, he's a notable name for what it's worth, and that notoriety doesn't go away. So
I think a Scott Quigg win or loss doesn't make a difference to Freddie Roach. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
Matter of fact, I actually think like Freddie Roach a lot of times sounds indifferent nowadays with most of the guys he trains.
I just saw one of his interviews he gave recently, and people don't want to say it because they don't want to be cruel or whatever, and I don't want to be. But I mean, how if you can't articulate yourself, how are you going to pass on that? There's a reason why Marvin was he going to text him. There's a reason why. I'm just going to shop. But there's a reason why Marvin Samosa.
Marvin Samosa.
You're worse than Cam pronouncing Mexican Spanish words.
Guadalajara.
Oh my God.
Guadalajara. Samosa. Isn't that a food? Isn't that an appetizer?
It is.
Yeah. He's just on the start of the card.
Oh, my Lord.
Still on for the main.
Marvin Samosa, your trainer of the year.
I'll just call him Marvin more. Anyway,
Yeah.
Scat.
Kim, is there anybody on their undercard?
Scat.
Not notable, but I just wanted to give my 2 cents to get Naotas. I said it when it was announced. I think even though he's not with Gallagher anymore, I think he'll kind of use the Gallagher tactics. If you look at Valdez, from first round to 12th round, if it's a 12 rounder, he just throws everything in every punch, full conviction. So I think he'll try and bank on him kind of tiring himself out and then try and take the fight over in the second half. So I don't think he will, though. I think eventually, just the thudding, heavy-handed punches of Valdez will slowly start getting to Quigg. He's only really got the high guard and come forward. I disagree with you. I don't think he's like a bigger guy anymore. He was when he was at 122, but at featherweight, I think he's just like an average-sized featherweight. But hopefully, I think it should be a bit of a war and a fun fight. So fingers crossed. But Naota, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, to me, him and Valdez are pretty much the same size. The difference being is that Valdez is just a bigger puncher. I think, he's quicker. He's quicker on the draw. So I think Quigg is going to come in with that style, and he's going to try and wear him down. But I think he's going to get worn down doing that. It'll be almost like maybe like an extended version of what happened between Peterson and Errol Spence, where Peterson was trying to walk him down. He landed a few good shots here and there, but he just got slowly broken up, and he just took too much damage in those early goings to make anything really count later on. So honestly, I think Quigg is going to bank on Valdez trying to tire late. But even as Valdez will start to slow down a bit, I think the damage will have already been done. He'll wind up stopping Quigg late.
Lim, you going to go to this? Limmy, you going to make your way to this Dub Hub?
No. It's going to be too cold that night. It's going to be like 17 degrees Celsius.
That's like
that's
like summer in the UK.
Yeah, I have a rule, Cam. If I can't wear my Lions only tank top, I'm not going to go to the fight.
It's a good way to think.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Let's move on. Same night, same time. Yeah, true. Boxing just does this to itself. On Showtime, rescheduled fight between Sergey Lipnitz versus Mikey Garcia. I think we kind of touched upon it before the first fight, but Naota, what do you think? How do you see it playing out?
I mean, Lipnitz is an okay fighter.
Mikey. Oh, my bad. I thought you said Lim. Sorry, Naota.
It's all good, man. I thought Lipnitz was really lucky to get out of the Kondo fight with a victory. I think he's a pretty good fighter, though. But Mikey Garcia is next level. Mikey Garcia is going to outbox Lipinets and knock him out. And potentially, get another kind of highlight reel knockout of the year contender.
Lim, what do you think?
Same. I agree with Nato.
Chu, what do you think?
I've got Mikey. I've got Mikey Garcia. Just exactly the same as Lim and Naota. Just too good. But Josh Taylor's on the horizon, so get ready.
Yeah, I got Mikey too. Lipnitz is okay. He's a bit like Valdez in the sense of like every punch is a power punch, fully loaded up. But there's like always a hesitation in between his combinations. You throw a big right hand and then a bit of a pause, and a big left hand, then a pause, and Mikey's just going to capitalize in the middle, shoot a shot in between, and just catch him. So I think it'll be easy work for Mikey. But on undercard Naota, rematch of Bartholomew versus Relic. If I remember correctly, I think I had Relic nicking the first fight, but it's one of those fights that it wasn't really memorable. I can't really tell you anything that happened in it. But how do you see the rematch playing out?
I mean, the first fight was a really good fight. They both hurt each other a number of times. If I remember correctly, they were both dropped in the fight. I thought Relic won it close as well. That was a big part of the reason why the rematch is happening, because a lot of people were really pissed about how wide Bartholomew got it. Really, if anybody deserved to win that fight, it was Relic. But the thing is, I think it's one of those A-side politic type deals. If it's close, Bartholomew's probably going to get the nod again. But I mean, who knows? I know sometimes the judges will overcorrect in the other direction sometimes too. But I mean, I think it'll be a good fight. You know, they're pretty much evenly matched. They kind of play into each other's strengths and weaknesses really nicely to make a good styles clash. So I wouldn't be surprised if either of them or both of them, you know, touched the canvas again, got hurt. You know, Barthélemy hurt Willock to the body a couple of times late. Willock hurt Barthélemy both to the body and the head several times in the fight. It's a good fight. They're really they're almost kind of made for each other. You know, really good fight. I'm sure every time that the two of them step in the ring against each other. But I favor Relic to really deserve to win the fight, but I think Barthélemy will probably get a close, you know, split nod again or whatever it happens to be.
Chu and Lim, any opinion, or should we just move on?
No, I'm just really relishing the fight.
Oh,
You want the fight? All right, let's move on.
Yeah.
The day before this, we kind of
Lions
mentioned
only.
Lions only.
We kind of
That's
mentioned.
all I want to talk about. I just want to talk about Houston, H-Town, Houston culture, and just the Charlos, man, and my conversation with the Charlo mom. So
They're like two high school seniors.
But that'll be for the after show. My bad.
Alright.
Go ahead, Cam.
Chu, you want to talk about Barthélemy Relic, or should we move on?
Yeah, I don't really care for either fighter.
Naoto, we mentioned it last time, I think, on the last show. We were live and you were talking about
Right.
Regis Prograis, and then we said that his opponent's been rescheduled and Indogo was stepped in because Victor Postal pulled out. I guess you were going to echo what you said on that episode, that you were actually thinking Indongo was a better opponent for Prograis, and he'll probably do a better job on Indongo than he would have done on Postal.
Yeah, well, you know, I really thought that Prograis was going to show out against Postal and knock him out in about 3 or 4 rounds. You know, make just quick work of him and have people being like, oh, like, well, he was just Crawford's leftovers. You know, that'll happen again with Indongo, but Indongo didn't last more than a couple of rounds against Crawford himself. So Prograis will make quick work of Indongo. He'll expose that chin again. Prograis is a fucking beast. He's an explosive puncher. He's the only guy at 140 that I really give a solid shot against Mikey Garcia at this point. He's a really good fucking fighter. He's the dark horse of that division, and he's about to make his name known.
Yeah, I've seen him once. The time I did see him on Showtime, he impressed me. There's been a bit of a gap since he last fought. I'm just looking now. June. So
he's not one of those guys that's really clued in with the high amount of like promotion or a managerial situation where like he's gonna get like that push up the ladder the way a lot of other guys are. But I think it's coming to him though. He's gonna get it by hook or by crook.
Is this show Extreme, or do you know what channel this is going to be on the Friday?
Yeah, it should be Show Extreme. It should be Showtime Extreme, just like last time when he fought Joel Diaz Jr.
Oh, quickly, I need to just shit on Sky and Box Nation. Neither picked up Superfly 2. Neither picked up, even though I hate him, Danny Garcia card. But obviously there was good undercard fights on there, so it's a shame, man. Like we have to go. I don't stream anymore. I just don't see the need of just watching some choppy stream that's cutting up and all that. So I'll just wait till the next day to find a better quality version. But Superfly 2, man, like really Sky or Box Nation should be picking it up. And even the Garcia card, I think one of them should have picked it up because they pick up really obscure stuff. I guess they get the opportunity to buy that and air it at a cheaper rate. They had a card from South Africa. Box Nation picked up Beltran versus Paulus Moses, but like I'd rather them pay a bit more money and then picking up Superfly 2. It doesn't really make sense, but there you go. On Saturday,
get it off the chest, Cam.
Yeah, man, I had to vent, bro. I had to vent.
Tell him, Cam.
17th March, we got Jose Carlos Ramirez versus Ame Amam, Alexander Gvozdyk versus Mehdi Amar, and Antonio Lozada Jr. versus
Felix Fajardo.
Naota,
That's the only soundbite you've got.
that's only one. How do you see the Imam Ramirez fight playing out? Naota, I've only seen Ramirez once in that really fun fight he had last time. I think it was against the dude in Fresno? Was it Mike Reed?
Yeah,
That
Mike Reed. Yeah,
that was a quick 2-round shootout, but yeah, and that was that was a while ago as well, over a year. So bit of ring rust, but what do you think?
No, that wasn't a year ago. That was only a few months ago. That was back
Oh,
in
sorry, that was in
November.
November. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up. Yeah, but what do you think about this fight? How do you see it playing out?
It's a good fight. The thing is, I think we kind of saw Imam's kind of peak against Granados, or like, that level that he can't necessarily get over with him. I think that Ramirez is a better boxer than Granados, even if he isn't necessarily as physical of a fighter as Granados is. Ramirez is he's really good. A couple years ago, I didn't really think too highly of him. I'm like, he's a pretty good prospect, but he'll probably, fail just at that top level or whatever. He might still be that, but last couple of years, last few fights that he's had, like the one you're talking about against Mike Reed, that was supposed to be kind of an evenly matched fight between two kind of rising prospects, and Ramirez just did Reed dirty, just beat him down and stopped him. I think he's going to stop Imam. I think Imam will make it a fun shootout on the way there. I think this is kind of last chance level type stuff for Imam in order to make a name for himself. So I think he won't go down, quietly. I think he'll go down swinging. He's a very big puncher with very fast hands himself as well. So I think he can catch and clip Ramirez and give him some scary moments. But ultimately, I think Ramirez is a better boxer. He's a very good boxer, a lot of power in his shots. And I do think that he stops Imam probably around the 7th or the 8th, and what'll be a really good fight, and one of those ones that'll be kind of bubble to the surface just as it happens. Like people will be like, oh, I forgot about that this fight was happening, and then when it happens at night, you'll be like, oh wow, this was a great fight.
Yeah, I can't really give a full opinion because I'm not seeing much of Ramirez, but Imam he's not looked the same after that loss to Granados, so I probably favour Ramirez, but it's not really based on much, to be honest. Lim Chu, any thoughts, or should we move on?
Let's move on.
Yeah, I mean, I know Amir Rahman. I don't really know Ramirez. God, I'm such a casual nowadays. Sorry, man.
It's good to see Gvozdyk back. He's on the card. He's fighting a French dude with a few losses. But March 24th, Saturday at the O2 Arena, Dylan White versus Lucas Brown. I just think it's going to be a big sloppy mess of a fight, but I don't really got an opinion. I actually favour Brown, to be honest, because I don't rate White that highly, but Brown's been a bit... Has he been active? I'm looking at his box rec now. Last time he fought was summer last year against Matthew Greer in 2 rounds. Stopped him in a 6th rounder. But yeah, I probably favour Brown, but he's a bit of a sloppy mess. After 6-7 rounds, he doesn't have much energy left. So I don't know. You guys got an opinion?
I favour White. Lucas Brown, to me, is a big stiff idiot. And a guy that, people, they call him a puncher, and he's like, yeah, who's he really knocked out? Knocked out old guys and guys that really weren't ever that good to begin with. And White's going to go in there and show, that Brown really isn't that good. White's not that great either, but Brown is really, he's a garbage man.
It's like you're reviewing colours. Yeah, like Brown's not as good as White. Nah, forget that.
Exactly. And their last name should be switched. It should be Dillian Brown versus Lucas White.
It's funny, Dillian White has been trying to get in Brown's head with a kind of racist angle, which may be true. I don't know, but I mean, I definitely feel that Dillian White's been rattled a little bit by Brown.
Yeah, and I wasn't quite sure if I should have said that joke, as in today's social climate, it's a little bit risky, but I just had to go with it. It was right there for the take.
I'm loving the build up to this fight. Mind games are plenty. Just what I want. Mediocre fighters. I'm not taking away from their toughness by any means, but mediocre in the true sense of the word. They could both be better, but they're now kind of fighting each other. This kind of, the winner goes on to great things or better things, and the other one goes home. Kind of gatekeeper fight. I've got Brown. I think Brown wins. I don't know why. It's maybe I think Dillian White's a bit the more skilled guy, but then again, I've seen Dillian White struggle against British level guys, and I think Brown's a wee bit better than British level.
Yeah. Any opinion, Lim? Or I favour you not giving a shit, but I'll ask anyway out of respect.
I mean, I don't think anybody who looks like Lucas Brown should be good at boxing. So that's all I got to say.
All right. I hopefully will try and do a show before this fight. Try and get something arranged with Chemo. But if not, we can just give our opinion quickly now. AJ versus Parker. We kind of touched upon it before, but Lim, easy work or a difficult night for AJ?
I mean, it should be easy work because I don't rate Parker very highly, but I never rated Takam highly either. And AJ had some issues with Takam as well, so I just don't know with AJ. I think Parker has to really be aggressive for him to have success. He has to get on the inside versus AJ, kind of like Takam did. Parker's a better fighter than Takam, obviously, but I don't know much about Parker's power. I know some people rate his power pretty decently. I personally don't. But I feel like if he can clip AJ with something on the inside, it should be a good fight. But to tell you the truth, I'm rooting for AJ more than anything because I want to see the Wilder fight.
What do you think, Chu?
I've picked so many fights wrong recently, so
just pick the opposite of what you're thinking.
Joshua. I think Joshua, and I think I really don't know. I think Parker early, Joshua late. I wouldn't be surprised if Parker knocks him out in a couple of rounds. But both these guys have got bad gas tanks. I've seen both these guys gassing against Tackle. So it depends on what kind of weight Joshua comes in at. If he's kind of learned his lesson and he's coming in a bit lighter, a bit more durable, then probably Joshua will win on points or something because, that's no way Parker's going to get a decision. There's just too many big fights on the horizon.
You can say the same for Parker, too. You could say the same for Parker, too. I think he's the lighter he comes in, the better shot he'll have.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, but he's got that Burger King discount, Naoto,
Yeah, man, shit. 2-for-1 Whoppers, man. You can't beat that.
I actually think that there was like a promotional poster where he had like abs in it. And that looks fake to me. That looks like airbrush shit because I've never seen him with abs.
He'd have to have those burgers made with whatever Canelo's been eating to have those.
Cam, Conor McGregor is the new face of Burger King, so I don't think that's an issue for Parker anymore.
Well, healthy Burger King burgers.
Yeah.
All right.
What about you, Cam? What do you think?
I don't know. Most of me actually thinks it'll quite be easy for AJ. It depends the game plan that Parker comes out with. If he kind of this Huey Fury game plan where he's just like swinging from the outside trying to get lucky with a shot, but I don't think he'll actually do that. I think he'll actually try and fight more on the back foot and try and maybe counter. But I think it'll actually be easy for AJ. Parker's never really impressed me when he was coming up and fighting bums and getting knockouts. He looked good, but as soon as the level of competition stepped up, he's never really looked as good. Even the fight against Andy Ruiz was a close fight. A lot of people thought Ruiz nixed it. So I'm not sure, man. I think AJ should win quite comfortably. But Naoto, you got anything to add about this fight?
I mentioned it earlier. I think it'll be a better fight than a lot of people expect. I think Joshua will be cracking Parker with some good shots early. I think Parker will survive, make it a little bit dicey for Joshua in the mid rounds, and then Joshua will storm back and knock Parker out. I favor Joshua to win, but I think he'll have a couple of trip ups along the way. And that'll give a lot of hype to the people saying that, Bomb Squad is going to bomb him out and that, Joshua's going to duck him now and fight Big Baby Miller instead, and all that shit is just going to continue. But that's how I see it anyway.
All right, Chu, I don't know if you know, but on the undercard, Alexander Povetkin's facing David Price. Who do you think will get the sponsorship for the soles of David Price's feet?
Burger King. I'm not sure. I'm not sure actually.
But actually, did you know about that fight, Chu? Did you know about that fight?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
What? It's crazy that actually, like, Price is actually signed up for that fight.
Pricey.
That's insane. That's like, I'm surprised Povetkin's fighting outside of Russia.
Oh, man.
It is a bit of a
He's
weird
not done
one.
that for a while.
It is a bit of a weird one. The only thing I could think of maybe said, look, fight on an undercard and then you can maybe fight Josh next or some shit.
Oh, hey, man,
That's-
you know what MB Chu says? Never trust Alexander Povetkin outside of Russia.
I do say that. You've been reading my diary. I do say that. I don't know, man. Povetkin's like before and after steroids. When he's on steroids, is fantastic. When he's not on steroids, he's got like flappy boobs and bad stamina and all that shit and bad mullets. I definitely think that David Price has unfilled potential, but he's just another Order Harrison, really.
Chu, you
Povetkin will just.
you think people on steroids have had better haircuts?
Yeah, I do, yeah. Have you seen Canelo's haircut? It's nice.
I don't know about the beard though. That big bushy beard, it looks like it's stuck on.
That's beautiful.
Canelo's,
That's a beautiful mane. I would like to comb it with my hand over and over again.
You're just a creep, bro. What do you care about David Price versus Alexander Povetkin, Lim?
Fuck no. I just want to see David Price get knocked the fuck out again and wear terrible suits on Sky.
Naota?
How the hell is that guy still fighting, Cam?
Who, Price or
He's
Povetkin?
fucking terrible. Price.
I just think he's just
If
trying to
if I was his parents and I actually loved him even a little bit, I'd be like, Davey, you gotta hang him up, love. It's over for you.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, as much as I'd love to see Price knock out Povetkin and relieve us all of the ridiculous Povetkin hype train, which I have God only knows how the hell people are still fans of that fucking guy after he had letdown after letdown after letdown throughout his career, his entire career, ever since he first turned pro. Povetkin's gonna fucking smash Price, man. That's the that's the type of shit where like where people that want to argue to ban boxing and shit like that say like, look at what these people did, and this guy shouldn't have been anywhere in the ring, near the ring, and blah blah blah. And yeah, Price is gonna get fucking smashed, man.
I think Price is just a candidate of that in general through most of his fights.
Yeah, that's true.
it's a win-win for Matchroom because even if Price wins, you set up the AJ fight, and that's a big domestic fight, which is an easy fight for AJ. And if Povetkin wins, okay, small guy, 6'2", he's going to struggle to reach Joshua. Really, in paper, he should struggle to reach Price, but Price can't hold him off. Price will crumble.
I mean, really, what Price should do is just like freaking think of all the bad things that have ever happened to him and that anybody's ever said about him, and just try to land one huge shot on Povetkin in the first round. And if it misses, if it misses, then just go down and stay down.
Good tactic.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
You guys got anything else you want to talk about?
Is there anything else, guys?
There's
What's been happening
CP
today?
Freshmart, aka Tamanu Nyamchong, defending his belt tomorrow in Thailand in Chonburi, fighting against one Toto Landero of the Philippines. I have knockout CP Freshmart by knockout. Knockout by knockout. He's gonna live up to his namesake, and he's doing it big for the Thais, man.
What would you call?
Sorry.
What's my thoughts? What would you call Neota? What would you call like the plural of Thai? Like
The what?
The plural in the word.
Thais.
Plural of Thai? Thai.
Thais.
No, it's just Thai.
Say,
Yeah, it's Thai.
No, but if there's like five, if there's like five ties. Ties. Right.
What are you even doing? What are you trying to say?
Nah, nothing. I was just interested. I've got nothing to say, Cam.
Quickly though, March 22nd, your boy Ryan Garcia's back on ESPN. He's fighting Fernando Vargas. I don't know who that is.
King Ray.
Who? Do you know the guy? His opponent?
Oh no, who? I have no idea who he's fighting.
King
What's
Ray.
the guy's name?
Beast.
Fernando Vargas.
The name sounds familiar. The name. The name sounds, and I'm not talking about like the obvious El Feroz, fucking the light middleweight and shit.
King Ray's fans are that fast. He's went back in time.
No, my bad. I think it's not shown on his box rec anymore, so maybe the fight's off. But yeah, that was from something I picked it from ESPN rankings. So.
Originally, it showed on the schedule him fighting against this guy Juan Jose Montes, but that's not on there anymore either. So they're probably he's probably against TBA right now.
Yeah, most likely. But yeah, guys, that's it from me. Unless you guys want to add anything else. Sounds like a no. All right, Limmy, Neota, Chew, and obviously Leon that was on earlier. I want to thank all you guys. I want to thank all the people in the chat and all the people that download the show week in, week out. We'll be back next month. Peace.
You just listened to the Boxing Coalition.
Oh, dude, man, I love boxing. I fucking love boxing.
A big shout out to the Boxing Coalition.
You're a newbie.
No, I ain't new, man.
If my fucking next door neighbour became the #1 flyweight in the world, you know what I'd do? I'd fucking walk past the cunt.
Derek, how you doing, bro?
I was physically banging, blood.
I disagree.
First time I hear the song, man, it was fucking badass.
Vamos a Argentina, la concha de su madre.
I see the bomb in them.
I get home and she's like, what the fuck? Me and the kid are here. Why don't you get home and talk to us? I'm like, man, you guys don't know shit about boxing.
Kel, how does it feel to be the new IBF champion?
Feels great. Did we really dive into the black hole right off the jump?
I think he's hiding glass. Just to play devil's advocate.
You want 1 portion of crow or 2 portions of crow?
Give me 2 portions with a supersized fries and a large drink, please.
I can't stand him, what? I'm Scottish.
Cringe side? But you won't rush Anthony fucking fat ass Joshua, would you? He's not fat.
How about you tell us what you weighed for your final thoughts?
My weight?
Thank you for listening to the Boxing Coalition.